kick the field goal. It'll be Jason Gingell out of the hold of Mesco. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is blocked. Appalachian State has stunned the college football world. One of the greatest upsets in sports history.
Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman.
All righty. Good morning. A good Friday morning to each and every one of you. We welcome you, as always, to Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. I'm Thom Brennaman. We come your way Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern. You can find us on YouTube/Chatterbox Sports. We always ask, if you would, please subscribe to the program if you're able. We also stream on Facebook on our Chatterbox Sports page. If you prefer to join us in podcast form, please do. Just search Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman, and you're dialed in. Here we go, big Friday. Bengals are back on the practice field getting ready for Sunday. The showdown in Buffalo. Who comes out on top? Burrow or Allen? Can the Bengals protect Joe Burrow with 3 new offensive linemen from just 3 weeks ago, including a new left tackle? So many questions, among others. We will try and answer some of those today when we're joined by Sam Monson from Pro Football Focus. I mean, he's their guy that's getting his hands dirty. All the numbers, grading out players, matchups, etc. We're going to try to break it all down. And we have our weekly contributor, James Rapine. The line still stands. Is this correct? Yep. 5.5 from our friends at Betfred and Betfred Sportsbook. On the opposite side of the bracket, in the AFC, the Chiefs and the Jaguars, a 4:30 kickoff Saturday afternoon on NBC. Kansas City was off last week as a number 1 seed. Jacksonville beat the Chargers on a last-second field goal, erasing a 27-point halftime deficit. The Chiefs are favored at home by 8.5. Over on the NFC side, it's the third meeting of the year between NFC rivals, the Eagles and the Giants. Philly won both regular season games, including a blowout when Jalen Hurts was healthy. But how healthy is he this week? He returned week 18, you remember, but was nowhere near 100%. The G-men looked fantastic in their win at Minnesota last weekend. Philly's at home for the game as a top seed and favored by 7.5. And then lastly, on Sunday night, they're not red hot, they're white hot. The 49ers. They will host Dallas. San Francisco appears to be the team to beat in all the football, not just the NFC right now. They steamrolled Seattle after a shaky first half last week. Dallas played its best game of the year on Monday night in a rout of Tampa Bay. Kickoff is 6:30 p.m. on Fox. The Niners a 4-point favorite. Now, a lot of other things going on around the NFL. It's that time of the year. John Harbaugh says Lamar Jackson is the Ravens quarterback now and will be the Ravens quarterback in the future, expecting a deal to get done sometime soon. Speaking of the Ravens, they fired their offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, yesterday. He had been under fire all year long, especially after Jackson went down. Harbaugh added yesterday that Jackson will have some say on who takes Roman's place. The Vikings fired their defensive coordinator, Ed Donatelli. The Dolphins fired their defensive coordinator, Josh Byers, after 3 seasons on the job. The Buccaneers fired offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. College news. Did Jim Harbaugh lie to investigators not once but twice when they asked him about recruiting violations? The NCAA says yes. Harbaugh says no. But because of it, Michigan is now facing level 1 infraction penalties. This could drag out into the court system, we're told, and could take at least a year. In baseball, the Kansas City Royals signed longtime Reds reliever Aroldis Chapman to a 1-year, $3.75 million deal. Chapman, for the first time in his career, really struggled last year, his final year in New York, and was left off the Yankees' postseason roster. College basketball, boys. Our guys.
Our guys, baby.
NKU. 4-way tie for first place atop the Horizon League, hosted Cleveland State. They were in that group of 4 atop the league. And won in dramatic fashion on his 21st birthday. Marquez Warwick delivered this.
Lead Cleveland State. And Aruma's free throw. Good. 56-55. Cleveland State by 2. 7.3 seconds to go. Get it into Sam Vincent. Across midcourt. Vincent off to Warwick. Bobbled the ball. Gets it back. Shoots. Scores! A three-pointer by Marquez Warwick on his birthday. That had to be from 26, 27 feet. He caught the back pass from Faulkner, bobbled the ball, picked it up, and as time ran off the clock, drained the three-pointer from 28 feet out, and NKU miraculously gets the victory, 57-56 over Cleveland State. Marquez Warwick on his birthday hits the game.
That's our buddy Jim Kelch.
It is.
On the play-by-play. Good for Jim Kelch and good for the Norse. Of course, Casey went to bed and had no idea about the outcome of that game. being a proud Northern Kentucky University alumnus.
Very proud of my Norse.
Did you go to bed last night knowing the outcome of their game? Yes? Just a yes or no?
Say yes. Yes, I did.
That is, oh, come on.
There we go.
I did.
Come on.
I did.
All right, if you say so. Shocker in Spokane last night. Loyola Marymount ended number 6 Gonzaga's 75-game home winning streak, beating the Bulldogs 68-67. It's the first time LMU had won at Gonzaga since 1991. Late last night as well, Mick Cronin and number 5 UCLA continue to roll. They beat Arizona State 74-62, but it was a much closer game than that score. This weekend, number 8 Xavier, they won't be number 8 after the weekend, after the loss 2 nights ago. Host Georgetown, that's tomorrow at noon. And on Sunday, UC hosts Memphis at 1. I want to ask you something about Xavier here in a second, Paul.
Okay.
Lastly, Notre Dame head coach Mike Bray plans to step down at the end of this season, capping a 23-year run in South Bend, in which he became the winningest coach in school history. Bray led the Fighting Irish to 13 NCAA appearances, 3 Sweet 16s, 1 Elite 8, and had 16 seasons where he won 20 or more games. Class act all the way. Mike Bray, I've had a chance to meet him a number of times. My son went to his basketball camp. The camp wasn't all that good. But that's neither here nor there. We'll get into that another time. I can't believe the money they have at Notre Dame. My wife's an alumnus of Notre Dame. I can't believe the money they have at that school and the dorms that they ask kids to stay in at that school. It is pathetic. It's pathetic.
Well, that's disheartening.
Yeah, I've never seen the door. I've been there.
Now, I'm not saying they haven't, redone them here in the last year or two, but about 4 years ago when we went there for camp, it's a dead of summer, and they have dorms with no air conditioning.
What?
Yeah. It's Notre Dame. They're printing money at Notre Dame. Printing money at Notre Dame. All right.
What were you going to ask me, Tom?
I was going to ask you because I was thinking about this today. Xavier seems very smart. I'm curious if they plan this. I've noticed that when they play on these weekends that are potentially big football weekends,
sure,
and maybe they do it all the time and I just don't pay attention, but it seems so smart to me that when they've played these last couple of weeks, and maybe television has something to do with it, I don't know. But when they played these last couple of weeks at home where the Bengals were playing or you had the NFL playoffs, do they take that in mind when they're scheduling these noon games? Because I think it's really smart.
They do. When they play on Fox, when they play on the major Fox networks, they definitely do. This game tomorrow is on FS1, and I know that Fox does keep that in mind with the NFL schedule. Now, like the game a couple of weeks ago against Marquette, or this past Sunday against Marquette, they had a tentative tip time scheduled in that one. It could have been at 12 or 4:30. And then when the NFL schedule came out, they put it at 12, and they had the Bengals in the night game. So, they do have some flexibility. And, I mean, even Xavier, if you think back to early December, there was a game, the game against West Virginia, that was originally supposed to be on a Sunday, and then Xavier had it moved to Saturday, so it didn't conflict with the Chiefs game. So, yeah, they do their best to make sure that if it's on national television, which they all are, then they're going to get the most eyeballs on it.
It's really smart.
Yep.
What time is UC's game? 1
o'clock.
Okay. And for this round of the playoffs, that's okay.
Yeah, and I mean,
I say it's okay. The Bengals start at 3.
Bengals start at 3. So
they didn't know that.
That'll lead right into it. I mean, that should be done right around then. But big game for UC, especially Landers Nolly, one of their best players now. I mean, he's starting to play a lot better. Memphis transfers, so playing against his old team. And I mean, UC's played really well the last 3 games, but they also haven't been great teams. So it'll be really encouraging for UC if they can get this win at home, on a game like this against a really good Memphis team. I mean, that would be a pretty good litmus test if they can win this one.
Yeah, it's a big game for them. They're 14-6. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they maybe haven't beaten anybody, a big time team or whatever it might be, but look, there were a lot of people a number of weeks ago that felt like when Wes Miller got that contract extension, they're like, what are you talking about? They were like a game over 500 or whatever it was and weren't looking to get blown out by Ohio State, right?
Well, they announced the contract extension immediately after the shootout loss, which is why I think everybody was a little frustrated. But, yeah, I mean, there's signs of positivity, which is more than you could have said about a month ago, right? It looked like a month ago everything was kind of stale and nobody was really sure what kind of direction UC was moving in. But now they're at least moving in the right direction. But, hey, let's do it against some of these bigger teams like Memphis. So,
all right, boys, here we are. We're roughly T-minus 48 hours and counting. 2 of the 3 of you, Casey McCollister, Paul Fritchner, Brandon Seho, the first and the last mentioned in that trio, are headed to Buffalo, Orchard Park, New York. Now, Brandon is making this a family trip. He's going with his mom and his stepdad. So, they got a little extra cash to spend. They've decided now they're going to drive up today and take a little car break from the 6 or 7 hour ride. This time last week, I'm going 11 hours. Texarkana. No stopping in Akron after 4 hours, wherever you're stopping, somewhere across the border in New York to take a break.
Tired.
I just actually got a hotel for me and Thomas. So.
Yeah, but I'm guessing, and I don't know. You are driving Saturday?
Yes, we're driving
to
Saturday.
Buffalo, roughly around the area?
Yes, it's like 30 minutes away from Buffalo.
Okay, and so, but basically you're driving to Buffalo. Yeah, Brandon says he needs a break from his mom and stepdad. I get that. I get that part. But Casey, the poofy-haired fancy boy says you're going to Buffalo with your mistress, Thomas. That's a good line. Lots of nonsense on the chat early on here. I mean, complete nonsense. My comment about Notre Dame and how, they drink White Claws at Notre Dame. And then Sir Boy Wonder says they drink Rolling Rocks. Now, that's a good beer, Rolling Rock.
Never even heard of it.
The pride of Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
Rolling Rock.
You know what Rolling Rock is, Paul?
That's a good beer.
Never heard of it.
Solid beer.
I've never even seen this label. I've
It's
never
a
heard of it.
green bottle.
Yeah, kind of looks like a ginger ale.
I mean,
never
it's
seen it.
a rock solid choice.
What is it most closely, like if you were to...
Yeah, if I was to drink this, what would it kind of taste like?
Well, it's got a little more, kind of...
Character?
Well, no, just fullness to it. Obviously, it's not a light beer, although I think they do have Rolling Rock Light. It's a Pennsylvania beer. It's better than Iron City, in my opinion. Paul Doherty might disagree with that. I think it's a solid beer. Solid. Kind of like Little King, solid beer.
Okay.
Solid. May not be.
Gets the job done.
Well, there's no question. And there may be 10,000 of those consumed at my house this weekend. I don't know.
Boys weekend, Tom.
Yes, it is. I'm solo this weekend.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I had to take my son to the airport this morning, going on a college visit. He's traveling on his own for the first time. My wife is meeting friends, high school friends of hers. She grew up out in Arizona, but they're meeting in Colorado. So me, our 2 dogs, have a few of the boys over. Paul, since you're the only one in town, I know you're going to college basketball games. If you want to come over and hang out, you're more than welcome.
Let's go, Tom.
Absolutely, you're more than welcome. Okay. And apparently a lot of Brandon's friends are on here today because they're talking about bars in Oakley.
The Oak. Now we're talking. Now we're talking about an establishment. The Oak is a great spot.
The Oak Casino, that's what I call it now.
The Oak is a great spot. I've spent many nights at the Oak.
Paul and I were there together a while ago.
I've seen Brandon many times at the Oak. Not on purpose.
I didn't think you went anywhere else, Paul, except for Dana Gardens.
I was there last
week. Is it Dana Gardens, plural, or Garden?
Gardens. Why don't you just call it Dana's? Do they have gardens? Beer gardens.
I keep telling myself I got to get in there sometime. Every time I drive by it, I say, I can't believe it. I might have been in there 1,000 years ago. Probably was when I was right out of college, but not been back since we moved back now 14 years, whatever it is ago. And, yeah, I got to get in there and check it out.
Sign your name on the wall, Tom.
I don't think I have a lot of big fans over at Xavier. I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't. You would agree with that. Am I right or wrong? I talk him up.
You do.
I'm the guy that says Sean Miller's a great coach and the whole 9 yards. Come on.
Agreed.
All right. Anybody feeling any different? Casey, as we get close, before we have Sam come on here in about 10 minutes, better feeling, worse feeling? I couldn't believe the take yesterday, which we'll get to later, from Eric Weddle.
I don't feel any different.
Okay.
I feel very confident. Just hearing a lot of good things, a lot of things I didn't know. The most encouraging part was Jackson Carman getting reps at left tackle since Jonah Williams got his first knee injury.
Yes.
That makes me feel a lot better. Makes me feel like he won't have a big learning curve. Like he's got plenty of reps there before. Grew up in that position. So I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling confident that we're not going to see a dramatic drop from Jonah to Jackson. It's not going to be as crazy as everyone thinks it will.
I've convinced myself that this is the Jackson Carman career-changing narrative game.
That would be crazy.
That's what
you're
I'm
saying in the positive sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Guy's had a miserable career to this point. Got to turn things around. Local kid. Saw one local kid step up last game. It's Jackson Carman this weekend.
That
is
awesome.
what I have incepted myself to think.
That'd be awesome if he just ended up being one of our better offensive linemen all of a sudden.
You know what? Look, the world is right in front of this guy. It's right in front of him. We're not talking about some, and this is not to disparage anybody that's drafted in the 5th or 6th or 7th round. This guy was a second-round draft pick. He was coming out of one of the most prominent college football powerhouse programs in the country. His quarterback was Trevor Lawrence. He was a starting left tackle. So there has to be a number of things that you watched on film coming out of college that made you believe this guy had a chance to be a starting offensive lineman for your organization for years to come. Yeah. He showed up overweight. He wasn't in good shape. When he played, he didn't play well, but they were, in fairness, to ask him to play a different position. But now all of a sudden, and Paul brings up a great point, this is the moment. I don't know how many of these we get in life. For some, there seem to be more. For others, there seems to be less. But this is the moment, or one of the moments, for Jackson Carman. He's whiffed on a couple of other of those moments. Who is he going to be? What does he want to be? Is he ready to do everything to completely change the narrative of what people think of when you hear the name Jackson Carman as a football player, not as a man? This is his time. Because the way Jonah Williams has played this year, and I give him all the credit in the world, we have not beaten him down this year. Some have. We have not done it here on Off the Bench. The guy played through a dislocated kneecap and never missed a snap. He's had the injury now again. He's not going to make it back for this game. But he's in line to make a ton of cash. He's still on his rookie deal. If Carman steps up, he could potentially be your left tackle in 2023, next year. He's got a chance. He's got the body. He's got the frame. He's got the athleticism. Does he have the makeup? And when his moment is in front of him, is he going to have it slip through his fingers like he did his first try here, first couple of tries here? Or is he going to grip that thing with an iron fist and not let anybody take his job ever again? We're going to take a timeout. Sam Monson coming up on the other side of the break from Pro Football Focus to talk about anything and everything that is the Bengals v. Bills on Sunday. Stick around.
It's that time of the show, the Ham and Eggers. These guys are great, trust me, I would know. I introduce all the best segments.
Casey, what are your thoughts on Jackson Carman?
I really do like the narrative that we have created here in the studio, that this is the game that he really makes a statement, that he can be the guy in the future. And the one thing that I do think that there was something in the back of their mind when they took Jackson Carman, that he could be the guy. Because Jonah Williams, especially like this year, was probably one of the worst left tackles in the league. And it's really honestly a shame, because I think he played admirably towards the end of the stretch of this season. But when you give up 13-plus sacks and the team has already signed him for his fifth-year extension, so he's already on the books for $12 million. But there is a chance that they could find a trade partner. If Jackson Carman performs well enough, the Bengals could be in a really good spot. I mean, I think they could move Jonah around. I know they've said they wouldn't, but if Jackson Carman came up on this game and plays well, and then he goes to the next game, in the championship game, plays well, I think there's a true battle there. I think there's at least an argument to be made.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me in this game is just figuring out whether he can hold his own. Maybe even not so much does he play well. Does he just not play badly, right? Is it enough if he just doesn't stink? Is that good enough? Does that check the box? Are we sitting here on Monday, potentially after a Bengals win, if Jackson Carman just doesn't suck? And I don't know what that looks like, honestly. I don't really know what that looks like. Does it mean he only gives up one sack? I don't know. I don't know what success looks like for Jackson Carman this weekend. Is there something in your mind that you're thinking of right now that makes you say that makes you think that? Is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head?
The one thing that I think helps his case is that the Buffalo Bills cannot pressure right now. They are having a really tough time creating pressure with just 4 defensive linemen. They have to fabricate their pressure. They got to blitz. And if he's truly learned from the experience and he's taking the training and the coaching, he's going to be good up here in between the ears. And that is what's really going to be the difference, because he's already a physical specimen. I mean, he was the strongman of the year in the college, I'm pretty sure, or high school, something like that. He's a strong dude. So if he plays, and he plays well enough to just not be bad, I really do think that there is a conversation to be had next year. But if we're going to focus about this year, Jackson Carman, I think his strengths are going to be in the run game, just based off of his natural strength. And like I said before, I think they really need to focus on the balance and, have a balanced attack for the Bills. But, they've got some injuries in safety. I'm sure the Bengals are salivating. They're wanting to attack. So we'll see what the game plan is. But I think it would be a major mistake if they didn't try to establish a run game with him at left tackle.
I agree. I very much agree. Thom, how are we looking?
Well, not too good when you leave your glasses in the other room.
Oh, no.
Sean, please come on in here. He was kind enough to grab them for me.
Dixon. Dixon.
The main man. Is he going to Buffalo too?
You going to Buffalo, Dixon?
Too far of a drive.
Too far of a drive. He's out of here. Right. But we do have somebody in.
Come on. Look, Sam Monson knows something about toughness. He has to, watch all these guys every single week and what's going on. These guys, Sam, kind enough to join us from Pro Football Focus. I drove from here to Texarkana, Texas a week ago today in one day. One day. These guys are going to Buffalo. They got to stop in Akron to take a little break to spend the night. Now, does that sound like a guy you'd be grading at Pro Football Focus?
No, I mean, it feels like if you got multiple people in the car, you can make the trip in one go,
Well, yeah. I mean, look, it's so soft, but an indictment on our society in general. All right, Sam, let's get right to it. You do this for a living. You guys do an unbelievable job at Pro Football Focus, whether it's at the professional level, collegiate level, and breaking down players and plays. All of the talk this week with the Bengals and Bills seems to center, rightfully so, on the Bengals offensive line. I want to ask you, starting first of all, it's not a huge sample size. You do in Sharping's case and Adeneji's case, can go back to last year or the last number of years when Sharping was starting in Houston and Adeneji was starting on the offensive line for the Bengals a year ago. But from what you've seen this year, how have those two guys done so far replacing the two injured starters?
Yeah, I mean, I think all 3 of the spots that Cincinnati has had to cover now in the last few weeks are downgrades when these guys come in. It's starting to look a lot more like that Cincinnati offensive line from last year, which, as we know, was massively problematic, which puts them in a tough spot because we know that they're able to overcome that. We saw it a year ago, but it relies on Joe Burrow being superhuman under pressure, which is just a very risky thing to be relying on in any given game. It makes everything an awful lot more difficult. He's going to be under pressure more often. The only thing I think this week that sort of stands in their favor is this Buffalo pass rush has not been anything like it was earlier in the season. When Von Miller was there, they had maybe the best pass rush, maybe the best front 4 in the NFL. They were leading the league in pressure rate for a period. They had the lowest blitz rate in the league. But then you take Von Miller off that, and they've been steadily scaling up the amount they blitz, but they've also been heading in the wrong direction in terms of pressure rate. They just haven't been able to get to the quarterback at anything like the same kind of rate.
Let's look at Carman for a second here because, look, the guy comes out of Clemson. You were grading him then when he was a left tackle. Let's just start with the collegiate game. I know it's a very different game, but the position is the same where he's going to start this year. How did you grade him as a left tackle playing in front of and protecting Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he graded particularly badly in college, but it's a big step up. And, pretty much everybody on the offensive line that we're grading coming out grades pretty well. That's why they're high-end NFL prospects. The problem is what happens when you step up the level of competition. And even from, elite level college competition, whether it's national title games, whether it's the SEC, it's still a huge step up when you get to the NFL. And you look at a guy like Alex Leatherwood, for example, who was a top end offensive tackle for Alabama, doing great at the college level, steps into the NFL and can't block anybody. I mean, Alex Leatherwood was immediately a disaster for that Raiders offensive line, got benched, got moved on from. It's a huge difference. So yeah, Carman graded well for us in college, but that's definitely no indication that he's going to be a capable NFL player at the same position.
All right, well, what little you've seen of him at left tackle, and it's not much after he took over for Jonah Williams, your rankings would tell you that potentially he's a better run blocker or pass blocker, or not a noticeable difference?
I think he's definitely a better run blocker. The one thing about this is it's not like Jonah Williams was having a good season either. Right. I mean, this is the one sort of crumb of comfort for Cincinnati, is that Jonah Williams led the NFL this season in sacks given up. He had 12 of them. So they're not replacing a superstar. They're replacing a guy who I think is a capable average starting left tackle, but wasn't necessarily playing that way this season. He was having the worst year we've seen from him in his NFL career. So Carman doesn't have a tremendously high bar to clear to be not a huge downgrade for that team. I think he will help and actually maybe upgrade as a run blocker, but it's all about that pass protection and what that does to Joe Burrow.
Is there any, based on all the gradings and the situational parts of football, is there any one area that you guys have looked at Pro Football Focus and you said, okay, the Bengals have a significant or a big advantage, and conversely the same for Buffalo? Any area of this game?
I think there's a couple of areas where Cincinnati has a pretty decent advantage. That Bills secondary has been banged up all season. They started the year with injuries coming into the season. Tre'Davious White wasn't back yet from his injury. They've had a banged up secondary all season long. It obviously feels wrong to include Damar Hamlin in the sort of injured category of Bills defenders, but he adds to the list of guys that are not out there and not playing. And when you have to try and cover guys like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and all the weaponry that Cincinnati can deploy, I think that is a pretty big advantage in Cincinnati's favor if their pass protection can hold up long enough to attack it. And then the other area I think that people aren't really focusing on is the other battle in the trenches. We're all looking about how this Buffalo pass rush is going to give Cincinnati's offensive line problems, but the Bills' offensive line has not been good all season long. And those guys have to block, Trey Hendrickson, DJ Reader, Sam Hubbard, like the talent that the Bengals defensive line can deploy. So I think that's another advantage in Cincinnati's favor.
Have your numbers shown, it feels like, it doesn't mean that it's true, it feels like some of these young players along that defensive line for the Bengals, whether it's Osai or Carter, among others, it feels like after having an extended period, I thought, where it didn't feel like, it feels like now they are starting to put more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Is that accurate or inaccurate?
I don't think that they've had a massive uptick in pressure. I think the Bengals generally rank sort of middle of the pack in pressure rate. They're getting pressure something like, 30% of the time, which is almost exactly league average right now. But it's still hugely reliant on the superstars that they have. I mean, Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard account for most of the pressure that they're bringing on opposing quarterbacks and have basically all the way through the season.
Okay, so you have that. If you were the coach of the Cincinnati, your offensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals, we know what we know, or in small part what we don't know, what's going to happen with Carman. But what we do know, you have 3 new offensive linemen as starters, and as you mentioned, it's a downgrade. We know what Burrow has done against pressure in the past and against blitzing in the past. He's been a very, very good quarterback. If you were the offensive coordinator of the Bengals, let's start with a run game. Can you run against this Buffalo team? The Bengals have not been a great running team. At times, they haven't even been a good running team.
No, I think you absolutely can. The Bills are one of these defenses that generally invites the run schematically. You know, they're going to play with a lot of too high coverage shells. They're going to play with fewer guys in the box. And to an extent, they're going to invite you to run the ball, because whether or not it's just because that's how they play their defense and that's the sort of area of potential weakness that it opens up, or whether they're actually one of these teams that specifically wants you to run the ball because it is less effective overall than passing, and that's actually a sort of a way that they're designing that entire defense, you can definitely have success running the ball against this group.
I don't know how much, because you're so analytical and so much inside the grades and so much inside the numbers. It has felt to me, Sam, and again, maybe I'm way off base here, it's felt to me like the Bengals have been, maybe not hitting the home run ball, but it feels like they have been a more take-it-to-you offensive line and run game when P. Ryan has run the ball and played in the backfield as opposed to Mixon. True or false?
I think they've been more effective at times. I don't know that it necessarily, is a cause and effect thing. I don't know that P. Ryan is actually sort of sparking any change there, but I think he's definitely benefited from some improved run lanes and some spaces than Joe Mixon. You see that sometimes when backup running backs come in and they seem to get the better rub in terms of the looks and the plays that are being called and how that benefits them. And then sometimes you get examples of where they are genuinely more effective players, like Tony Pollard versus Zeke Elliott for the Cowboys. It's been years now where he's been outperforming Zeke Elliott. And I think for a while, people thought it was just the better looks, the more advantageous kind of positions and defenses. But the longer it went on, the more it became clear that he's just a better running back at this point than Zeke Elliott is. I don't think we're there with the Bengals and Joe Mixon. I think P. Ryan has just benefited from some of these better looks, better situations, more favorable kind of down and distance spots running the ball.
Josh Allen, I just find him to be such an interesting player. Statistic. I mean, physically, he has everything you'd ever want in a quarterback: big, strong, fast, big arm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He also leads the league in turnovers. When you evaluate his game and you mix in all the things you see, is it easy to say, yeah, he's one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league? Or when you guys are grading him, are you seeing that same thing?
I think it's both. I mean, he is one of the top 3, I think, quarterbacks in the league, despite leading the league in turnovers and leading the league in turnover-worthy plays. Like, this is the enigma of Josh Allen right now, is that the only question Buffalo is asking is whether you can take away some of those turnovers and some of those bad plays without affecting the high end, or is that part and parcel of what you get when you sign up to the Josh Allen experience? But last week was like a microcosm of his entire season, where it was just hyper aggressive, an average depth of target over 17 yards, which is the highest of any quarterback in a single game this season. But he had 7 what we call big time throws, which are PFF's highest graded throws, which again is the highest we've ever seen in a single game this season. But it comes at the cost of that hyper aggression. Caused some bad plays, caused a couple of mistakes, caused turnovers. And that was the thing that was keeping Miami in that game, because Skylar Thompson and that offense certainly wasn't. Like, the Josh Allen mistakes were what were allowing the opposition to keep that close and to make it go as deep into the game as it did. But it's also what makes Buffalo basically the second best offense in the NFL this year, behind Kansas City.
When you look at their style of play, can they run the ball against the Bengals this week?
That, I think, is a big question. They haven't been great at running the ball. Generally, they don't do it a lot. They're one of the most pass-happy teams in the NFL. And certainly when you adjust for sort of situation, look at, obvious passing downs, or they don't run the ball a lot. They're going to pass the ball, and it's all through that Josh Allen arm. And with that weakness on the offensive line, I don't know that they're particularly well capable of doing it either. So when DJ Reader has been healthy this season, he's been one of the best interior disruptive presences in the entire NFL, certainly against the run. Yeah, I think Buffalo will find it tough to run the ball outside of what Josh Allen can do.
I talk about Buffalo's style of play. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I don't know how much you guys get into the quote-unquote weeds about stuff like this. Buffalo plays very fast, and that can mean they score very fast, or they have to give the ball up very fast. I think Miami, it was noted on the show yesterday by our buddy Zim Hude that Miami had 15 offensive possessions in the game last week against Buffalo, something like that. If you're Buffalo, look, you go with what got you here, so to speak, but every coach has to make adjustments and make changes. Would you be surprised if Buffalo wants to continue to play this fast game, knowing that you're giving potentially over the course of a game Joe Burrow and this offense X number of possessions, X number more plays in the game on offense?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have a problem with their tempo and with their pace, but another thing that gives them extra possessions is those turnovers, the mistakes and just giving the ball straight back to the offense. Like that, I think, is the challenge for this Buffalo offense, is trying to figure out if they can dial back the number of mistakes that they're making without taking away, the thing that makes Josh Allen special. And if you look at the last couple of years when he's been at his best, when Buffalo needs plays, it's been Josh Allen stepping up and making them happen basically all by himself. Obviously, there's somebody on the other end of it, generally Stephon Diggs or Gabriel Davis in the playoffs last year. But Josh Allen steps up and makes things happen by himself. But does he need to do that all the time? Because sometimes it leads to him maybe trying to do too much and creating some of those turnovers and errors that maybe didn't need to be there. I mean, last week's game, like I said, that average depth of target of 17 is crazy. I mean, an average depth of target above 10 yards is high. So 17, which got higher in the fourth quarter when they had a lead, when most teams are trying to sit on the ball and just chew up some clock. That's the balance, I think, that the Bills are going to be looking at this week and seeing if they can tweak a little bit. Maybe we can dial back the aggression just a little and maybe save a possession or two that doesn't end in a turnover.
Teams that have had success defending Allen in his run game, you hear so much the use of the word spy. I don't know if teams actually use that word or not. Are there some teams that have done a better job against Allen in keeping him from running the ball effectively?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can do a couple of things to sort of dissuade the run. Playing like two-man coverage is obviously kind of suicidal against a quarterback like Allen, who's going to take the obvious space. When you give it to him, you can take away the obvious space. The problem that Josh Allen presents as a runner is the plays where you actually have it covered perfectly on the chalkboard, but he just invalidates that by being a bigger, stronger, faster athlete than the guy that's trying to stop him. There's so many plays where Josh Allen is able to take off and he's one-on-one with a linebacker and he just powers through the contact or jumps over the top of it or spins around it. There's nothing you can do about that on defense other than just hope it doesn't happen in that particular high leverage down and distance or whichever play you need to get him off the field. But I think that's what makes Allen really special as a runner is he's such a unique athlete that it's very, very difficult to stop.
Are you in the prediction business, Sam? Any prediction for this game?
Yeah, I do like Cincinnati. I think everybody's down on them a little bit because of those offensive line losses in the last few weeks. And also, obviously the game that got abandoned because of the Damar Hamlin situation. I think we would be looking at this team in a different light if that game had been able to get played through to its conclusion and this sort of back half of Cincinnati's season was looked at, holistically or in totality. I think we would be looking at this as maybe the best team in the AFC, even with the injuries to the offensive line. So I think Cincinnati definitely covers the spread and, maybe springs an upset on the road.
All right. Before we get out of here, I've always been curious. I've had people ask me this question, and Casey McAllister, what do you said you're a premium. What do you member of PFF? Elite member? What are you?
Yeah, one of their premium subscribers.
Okay.
I get,
For the average guy out there, Sam, tell me if they want to subscribe to Pro Football Focus, what it is they're getting.
So it's all PFF Plus now. We streamlined it. It's one subscription. That's all you need. And that gets you everything we do, from play-by-play player grading, from fantasy tools, from the sort of locked content that we have on the website, our PFF app, the betting system that we have. Basically everything that we provide that's a premium feature you can get from your PFF Plus subscription. So whatever you're into, whether it's just advanced data and grading and analytics, whether it's the fantasy or the betting stuff, it's here for you.
Well, I hope the Bengals offensive line is a little more alive than your puppy back behind you there, because it looked like he or she decided to take a serious snooze back there. Look at that shot. That looks like Seho on a Saturday night about 1A. What's your dog's name there, Sam?
Jovi.
Is that a boy or a girl?
It's a girl. She's named after the character from Elf.
Did you know that, Casey?
No, I did not know.
Okay. All right. Sam, we can't thank you enough for your time today and all the great work you guys do at Pro Football Focus. Thanks so much, and have a good weekend.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. Very, very nice to have him. Now, that is breaking it down.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
All right, what jumps out to you guys over what you just heard? And we have James Rapine coming up in about 15 minutes from now.
Well, you should have seen Casey's eyes light up when he predicted a Bengals win.
Well, of course.
Well, he said a lot of the same things that I was kind of iterating and, trying to give this perception that the Bengals aren't as down bad as people believe right now, including our fans. They think that the lineman situation is just catastrophic, but I mean, it's one thing about the right side. I'm not super concerned about the right side. But regardless, I'm just trying to say that the Bengals are not as down bad as we all perceive. In fact, if you want to really talk about a team that's down bad, let's talk about the Bills.
Oh, here we go. Let's go.
Well, did he have anything positive to say about the Bills? I didn't hear a single thing.
Let's go, Thom.
Well, he had a lot of good.
Let's go, Thom. Fire me up, Casey.
He had a lot of good things to say about the Bills.
It's selective hearing. Don't worry about it, Thom. It's selective hearing.
I mean, he said their quarterback's pretty good. An enigma,
but
we know that. An enigma, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's one of those guys, and, the best of the best and the worst of the worst. And, man, you're rolling the dice a little bit. Consistency is closer to best of the best than worst and the worst. He even said that.
You want to know what enigma is in the NFL? Inconsistency.
With no question.
And let me tell you, his game doesn't sound consistent to me.
Well, you're starting to get jacked up now, Tim. You got that look in your eye like you're ready to get in that car.
I'm ready.
With your mistress, Tomas, and get rolling.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to roll.
You know what's funny is I was listening to that conversation. He was talking about the lines, and he was talking about the Bills not being the best pass rush and the Bengals maybe being able to have some success that people aren't thinking about. And then he goes, well, the Bengals pass rush hasn't been so bad either. And I just keep thinking in the back of my mind this spin-off marketing campaign. They keep saying, well, they got to play us. I'm thinking, they got to block us. They got to block us.
They got to block us. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, they got to block us too. I mean.
Well, it's true.
Come on.
It's true.
Fire me up.
I don't know where that whole thing they got to play us. I swear that was a Zim Hude thing. I know that they're saying that originated somewhere else, and it's not like it's some epiphany all of a sudden that for the first time anybody's ever heard it. But I swear that was Zim Hude, and he's tight with the players.
I wouldn't be surprised if he came up with it and they just kind of rolled with it.
Sure, let's just mark it down. It was Zim Hude.
That was Zim.
It was Zim. I mean, why not?
Zim.
We got to give somebody credit. Give Zim credit. That's
Zim.
our guy.
Zim. He's a man. What is wrong with some of you in the chat?
Oh, no.
I mean, what is wrong with you?
What?
Seriously, what's wrong? Do you honestly think that I was in on the Ravens wanting them to win last week? I just took them against the spread. Okay? And for a couple of you now, Tom's all in on the Bills.
Uh-oh.
I don't give a rat's tail about the Buffalo Bills.
The only thing you said about the Bills was something nice about Josh Allen. That's all you said.
Are you meaning to tell me that he doesn't warrant saying something good about him? I mean, come on. The guy is, for the last 3 years, he's taken his team into the playoffs. I went back last night. My son and I, Luke, were going through about Buffalo and how big of a home field advantage really is Buffalo. We know about Bills Mafia, right?
Yep.
And phenomenal fan base, great fans, good people. I've done a number of games in Buffalo. Love doing games up there. Love the people that work in the organization. They've been there a long, long time. A lot like a lot of the people that work in the Bengals organization. They're good people. I wasn't a big Marv Levy guy, but they're good people. But, you know, when you look over their run at home, this is not a team that is like some unbeatable team at home. They're good. They're really good. Obviously, they're going to be better than most just based on their overall record, right? But, you know, they're not an unbeatable team by any stretch of the imagination on their home field like some others in the NFL.
Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase played in the SEC. I don't think these guys have any sort of concern about noise. Maybe weather. You know, I don't know what the weather's going to look like. If the weather's bad, that's something totally different. But if it's a noise and environment thing, that's not something the Bengals need to worry about.
Yeah. For me at this point, there's nothing schematically, player-wise, that I'm concerned about. The only thing I'm concerned about is the weather. And the weather, to me, is supposed to sleet, right? It's supposed to be a mixture. It's supposed to be rain and snow. And they were already – no, I'm not selling my tickets. But it's just that is a mixture that, one, Jamar Chase is – the first time he ever saw snow was in Cincinnati. He's never played in snow. So this is going to be the first time he's playing in sleet. For Joe Burrow, this is the first time he's played in – or it was like the second or third time that he's played in snow in a professional – in some sort of level.
Well, he grew up playing in crummy weather, you know, obviously in Athens, Ohio. He played high school. He didn't get a lot of playing time at Ohio State. And, you know, on bad weather days at Ohio State, once, you know, November came around, he was practicing inside. The Bengals never had an indoor practice facility until this year. It's always interesting to talk to guys, and I think I shared this a couple of weeks ago in talking with Troy Aikman about, you know, a lot of people think wind is a big deal for a quarterback, and for some it is. A lot of people think cold is a big deal for quarterbacks. Ken Anderson said the other day it wasn't a big deal for him. Troy Aikman did talk about a wet ball. For him, it was a big deal. It was a really big deal. He could throw it through the wind. I mean, that guy could throw it through this brick wall when he was in his heyday. He had that kind of an arm. But he said, man, you get that thing wet. He said, some guys, it's not a big deal. Other guys, it's a really big deal. And both of these guys, I mean, look, who's played in crummier weather in their career in a short amount of time than Josh Allen?
Yeah. Right.
Right?
That's
nobody in the NFL.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of getting at is like maybe he would be more comfortable with the weather that's about to happen, and some of our guys might not be. It's not really that big of a concern. But I do think it could change the game plan a little bit. And it's actually going to be in the favor that I want it to go, if that is the case, and that's to run the ball. And I think it was really encouraging to hear Sam talk about that it would be an upgrade, especially on the left side, which we've really struggled to run on the left side. And it's partially because Jonah Williams is undersized at the left tackle position. We got a rookie at the left guard. But when you get a guy like Jackson Carman, and I'm telling you guys, he's a physical specimen. The dude can bench press.
We are in every Jackson Carman.
I'm totally in. I'm buying into this narrative that this is the game for him to break out.
Are you drinking anything over there?
You know what I'm drinking?
Look
I'm
at
drinking
that.
some Pawnee water.
Pawnee, they're right across the street right here. We talk about them all the time. Proud sponsor. It's a new premium alkaline water, PAHHNI. And I got to tell you, what they do is they use natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that many of the other brands that you've been spending a lot of money on. They don't do that. Not across the street here in Hamilton, Ohio. It's the best tasting water in the world. Visit their website, Pahnni, P-A-H-H-N-I water. That's all one word, PAHHNIwater.com, and find out where you can buy this great tasting water.
Thom,
I wasn't necessarily talking about water. I was wondering if you were drinking, one of those things you drink, whatever they are.
White Claws.
The High Noons, White Claws.
Oh,
I don't drink those, Thom.
They don't drink those in Buffalo, pal.
No. Labatt Blue.
Now that's a solid beer. That's a big league beer there. I stumbled into one of those a couple weeks ago. I couldn't believe it. Somebody had that behind the bar. That's a big time beer.
Labatt?
Oh, man. Canadian beer.
Thom, I got a question for you.
Yes.
And I asked Casey this while you were in the restroom a few minutes
Somebody
ago.
wants to know if you're taking Sudafed, Casey. I don't mean to interrupt you,
Boom
Paul. Go ahead.
shakalaka. He's at the Great Wolf Lodge right now streaming this show poolside.
He's got kids up there with him, right?
Shakalaka.
Little guys.
He's with his family.
That's great. Thanks,
We
Boom
love that.
Shakalaka. All right, go ahead.
What does success look like for Jackson Carman this weekend? Like, if we're talking about him playing well, if we're talking about a career-changing narrative, is it like he only gives up 1 sack? Is it he didn't give up any sacks? Is it proactively good? Is it that he did good things, or is it that he didn't do bad things? What does success look like to you for Jackson Carman this weekend?
Oh, look, I am not going to kill the guy if he gives up 2 sacks in the game. Okay, I mean, there's in a normal kind of game, the Bengals offense, and it might be a few more because of maybe Allen turns it over. We just talked about with Sam. Maybe Buffalo plays hurry up a lot in their offense, so the Bengals run more offensive plays. But in a number range where typically you're going to go anywhere from 56, 57 to 65, 67 offensive plays, if they throw it 35 times, 30 times, right? He gives up 2 sacks. It's not the end of the world. Of course, a lot of it depends on when they come, and a lot of it becomes what's the result of the sack? Is it just a sack, or is it a strip sack? Is it he's hit while he's throwing, causes an interception? There are variables here. But look, if the guy can give Burrow, 85% of the time in pass plays, 80% of the time, solid pass blocking, do what he does best, as we just heard from Sam Mons, in the run game, maul people. Line up and just smash them right in the mouth. I mean, you just destroy people. With that body, whoever's lined up against you, if it's a running play, you absolutely destroy the other human being lined up against you on the line of scrimmage. That's exactly what his job is this week.
Yeah, and for me,
right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the success part to me is you got to give me something different than what I already have in Jonah Williams. And Jonah Williams, you could probably mark him down for 3 or 4 pressures and a sack just about every game, relatively speaking.
Yeah, that's about right, just about. Yeah, that's right.
So if Jonah Williams or if Jackson Carman does that, but he is a monster and blows up some huge holes for us, that's success to me. That's an upgrade.
What are you laughing at, Paul?
Nothing. Just the chat is just on another level today. I can't. The chat is elite today.
I mean, what is wrong with Emperor? Seriously, these guys, it's just like yesterday with Seho. It's the same thing. It's your generation, and it's this younger generation. You guys want to turn everything into sex. Everything. I'm talking about the inside, and I'm talking about the soul and the heart and the spirit, right? And you guys are talking about, you know what you're talking about. We're talking about sacks today. And how many sacks Jackson Carman might allow or the offensive line might allow. And where does the chat take it?
You know what's really funny?
These are your fans.
Male sacks. I mean, that's what we're going here on this program.
You know what's really
crazy? It makes
crazy?
me wonder if we should not turn into, although I can't stand the guy, maybe this goes in the direction of Howard Stern. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
No.
Maybe that's where we go.
No.
You know what's crazy about that whole conversation?
Oh, God, and it gets worse. It just gets worse.
When my family would watch a football game, my grandpa, whenever we got a sack, he would go, sack, and just scream it. We would watch it with him. And my family developed this thing after every sack.
Don't tell me this.
We would go like this, sack.
Oh, my God.
Sack.
We're trying to break down a divisional round in the NFL playoffs. And we're getting sacked. I mean, are you kidding me? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. We're trying to get sponsors for this show. It's gone from G to PG to PG-13, and the last 24 hours it is banging on the door of R, if not worse.
Just by Friday, this is just great. All right, we have some actual football talk to get to now with our guy James Rapine.
Well, he is. I don't know how much he's sleeping. He's getting these days.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, it looks like he's frozen. Frozen in time.
He's not frozen.
No, he's not.
He's not frozen.
Is he good?
Play it.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the intro.
Oh, all right, let's hear it.
Go, James Rapine! Go, James Rapine! Go, James Rapine, you Sports Illustrated beat reporter!
I mean, James, it's only the second time you've gotten that kind of welcoming. But, I mean, does it get better, or are you ready to get sick?
No, it's great. It's great. If I was a Ranger, I would be the green.
You had a little prop in the background there. You didn't show anybody what was going on. I mean, you had the little
I was thinking White Ranger, and then, I got the Megazord here. Big Power Rangers fan. Who knows? Maybe one time I'll wear one of these helmets behind me. I haven't opened them yet. So
I think that'd be fantastic.
Never know. Never say never.
Do you have any of those, are you the superstitious sort where when something happens, maybe it's around the house with your family and a brand new baby girl around the house there, or something happens with the Bengals or whatever, that you keep those in a certain spot, and then if something goes, kind of south a little bit, you move them around?
Not with the backdrops, but I do believe in that a bit for sure. And so there's certain things like in my life I would do that with, but I haven't thought about that with the backdrop props. It's just kind of not to steal a Joe Burrow line, but if I think something's cool, I'll put it there. And then if I have a change of heart or decide to shuffle it, I'll decide to shuffle it. So he does that with his fashion. I guess I do that with my shelves behind me.
Okay. All right. All right, look, we had Sam Monson on from Pro Football Focus on a little bit earlier. We're walking through some of the matchups. You're the guy that's down there at practice every day. All the talk seems to have been centered, including on this show, on the Bengals' offensive line. When you're talking to guys, it's one thing for them to say it to the media publicly. They have to say all the right things, and that's true across the board in life. Privately, how do they feel about this thing?
Oh, I mean, they're confident. They're confident. Now, they think that this game should be at a neutral site? Of course, because it should. If they were going to have to play that Week 18 matchup to win the division and earn a playoff home game against the Ravens. So they certainly feel that way. And heck, Jesse Bates said it, I know, nationally. I think it was yesterday, and they'll say that privately, but they are confident going into this game. They know it's going to be tough, but even with these offensive line issues, I think they believe they're going to be able to go in there and run their offense and not have the issues that they had against the Ravens, because it was really the perfect storm against Baltimore. It's a really good defense that wasn't blitzing Joe Burrow. You have these offensive line issues, and you limit their possessions. They're not going to have 7 possessions on Sunday. Though they're more likely to have 17 possessions, I think, than 7. The Bills had, I think, 16 possessions last week against Miami for comparison's sake. So that alone, I think that they're going to be in much better shape. And so, yeah, they're confident offensively, and we know what they're capable of defensively. So they feel good going into this game, even though it's going to be a tough one on the road.
It's a moot point, but I just want to follow up on something you said a second ago, because I have felt very differently about this, because I think you're comparing apples to apples rather than apples to oranges. The bottom line is the Bills and the Bengals played the same number of games this season. You can't say that about the Bills, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. But the Bengals and the Bills played the same number of games, and the Chiefs lost 3, or the Bills lost 3 and the Bengals lost 4. Why should this game be at a neutral site?
Because the game, it wasn't like the Bengals game against the Browns was canceled, and the Bills game against the let's say the Ravens or the Dolphins or whoever you want to use. That game determined a lot, and it could have went either way. And by making the Bengals have to win that Week 18 game, the only reason they would have had to win that Week 18 game to clinch the North and get a home playoff game, and they go hand in hand. It was stupid that the NFL said otherwise. Is by losing to the Bills. So, all right, well, if that's possible, losing to the Bills, then winning against the Bills would have given them home field. And regardless of what happened Week 18, the Bengals record-wise, to your point, would have had a better record percentage points-wise than the Ravens. It's not perfect, fine. They have to go to Buffalo. They're not crying about it, by the way. I'm not saying that by any stretch. I think they're excited for the challenge, but if you gave them truth serum, of course they would say that. And I would feel that way too if I was in that locker room. And I don't know if there was a perfect way to go about it. The Bengals probably got the short end of the stick of the teams, and this benefited the Chiefs the most. That's fair to say too. I get why Bills fans would have a gripe too. But okay, let's see what happens on Sunday.
Just to follow up on this neutral site thing here for a second. Do you think in the offices of the National Football League that this is almost a perfect storm? You know, some conspiracy people out there think this. I've thought this for a long, long time, and I think it's given them the perfect storm to float the idea in future years about having conference championship games like Super Bowls at neutral sites. You buying into that?
They certainly could, and it's a good test route. And heck, I got an email in my inbox from the NFL an hour ago, 2 hours ago, talking about how much demand there is for tickets. And yeah, I get it. I understand it, especially in the AFC when you have all of these big-time quarterbacks, and you have quadruple the number of big-time quarterbacks in the AFC right now than you do in the NFC. Every AFC championship game is going to be awesome. I mean, that's the thing. The NFL, whatever they end up with, whether it's a neutral site game, whether it's in Kansas City, whether it's in Cincinnati or in Buffalo, depending on the outcome of this weekend's games, it's going to be a must-see game because of the quarterbacks. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is 4th of the 4, and he's awesome, a number 1 pick, a national champion, and has played really well this season. So, yeah, I think that they could certainly carry that out. And if they did, at least on the AFC side, it would be must attend for a lot of these teams because of the quarterbacks. You'd feel like you have a real shot. At the same time, I don't think owners would love it. But if it generates more money, then you could probably get them on board. But that's a real jerk thing to do to some fans, I think, in the whatever team earns home field advantage. So that would be something you'd have to iron out.
All right, let's talk about the game here for a second. How different do you think, from just a strategic standpoint, this Cincinnati offense is going to be than what we've seen them when they had other guys along the offensive line? Meaning, are they having to keep more guys in? Are they having to do some things that, they'll do it from time to time on a given play or a given game, but you know what I'm getting at here. I mean, their longest pass play last week was 19 yards. I think they're in trouble if their longest pass play this week is 19 yards. Maybe you disagree with that. But do you think philosophically they're going to look different? Do they become a more put more emphasis on the run game this week?
No, That doesn't mean they won't run it, but I think they're going to look pretty close to the same. And to steal Eric Weddle's zero chance line, if their longest pass play is 19 yards, they have zero chance. This team is going to go into Buffalo, and they plan to throw it around. And they're going to lean on Joe Burrow, and they're going to say, all right, we're still going to go empty at times. And I think Samaje Perine might be in the backfield a bit more because he's such a great pass protector. Maybe you give Jackson Carman a little help. But initially, I think they're going to say, all right, let's see how this works. Let's see how this plays. It would be different if there was a Von Miller on the other side, right? Or you had an Aaron Donald in the middle, or Micah Parsons, or, they have Gregory Rousseau, who's a good player. They have Ed Oliver, who's a good player. But Akeem Adeniji, I thought, has been pretty decent. I think that Max Sharping, they have confidence in him. And so now we're talking about Jackson Carman. Okay, so we'll see how he does early and go from there. And I think that's how they're going to do things initially. Now, last week against the Ravens, were they bogged down and did they just completely change their offense when Carman went in? Absolutely. They went into the exact opposite of, I think, what they're going to do this week, where the playbook's going to be pretty open. They're going to spread the ball around early. And if things don't go right, if Carman's getting beat, then they'll adjust. But I think their plan is to throw the ball. That doesn't mean they won't run it some, but I think they're going to throw the ball, try to get the ball to their weapons. And, to your point, hit on big plays. And they're going to need these skill guys to come through. These 50-50 balls, they can't be 50-50 balls to Jamar Chase or Tyler Boyd or T. Higgins or any of these skill players. They need to go up, get them, and make big plays downfield.
Gosh, it was just something I was going to ask you about that. And golly day, aging, boy, is it tough. Golly day, was something I really wanted to ask you about. Guys, pick me up here a second.
About the skill players?
No. Go ahead. I'll think of something here in a second.
Casey, I know you got something for James. Casey.
Yeah, I mean, the defense. I'm going to go to the defensive side for a minute because we brought up something earlier. A lot of fans are worried about this offensive line and can we protect Joe Burrow? But I'm looking at the other side. Can they protect Josh Allen with Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard? Those guys are playing really well. Their offensive line is not great. DJ Reader is a force up the middle. I mean, I think this is a great advantage for the defensive line. What do you think?
It is. And it's a good point because this Bengals defensive line is better than the Bills defensive line. And the Bills have issues in the trenches as well with their offensive line. So, I've answered some questions about the Bills' rushing attack and how good it's been this year. Well, last week they didn't rely on it despite being up big against Miami early on, and you'd think that's when they would lean on it. So I don't really think that's going to be a major issue for the Bengals. I think they can shut that down. And really the key, it's not just getting pressure on Josh Allen, but it's containing him. And Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, they've done a really good job of that. And if you do that and you contain him, you don't let him outside the pocket or break a tackle and push the ball deep downfield, well, you are going to limit some of those big plays. So I agree with you. I think that this Bengals defensive front, they have the edge if you compare defensive fronts, and they could be really disruptive. And that's a major key. This Bengals defense, maybe they don't hold the Bills to 23 points. Maybe they give up 30. But can you force 3 turnovers in the process, an interception, a sack fumble, and another turnover somewhere? I think if they do that, then it's a win, even if they do give up more points than they have in most games this season.
What do you think the state of the secondary is? That's where I was going, James, on this whole thing. Yeah. At safety, there's no question. They're rock solid back there, the two guys that have been there all year long in Von Bell and Jesse Bates. We saw blown coverage a couple of times from Eli Apple. I thought the kid played pretty hard, though, in that game. I thought he tackled very well, especially in the run game in that game, did Eli Apple. But look, you're leaning on a couple. It looks like Flowers. He's not practiced this week. You're going with 2 young guys in Hill and Britt. And I'm just curious, Stephon Diggs, and this is a big play, big target offense. Yeah. I mean, some of those numbers, and we ran through them earlier this week. The ball traveled in the air on 39 attempts last week by Josh Allen. The ball traveled an average of over 15 yards per attempt in the air.
Yep.
That's the highest it's been double the average over the last 2,800 games of quarterbacks in the NFL. So they are looking to throw it, and they are looking to throw it deep. How confident are you based on what you've seen on this secondary the Bengals are trotting out there?
Well, if they do that, I'm confident because this Bengals defensive front should disrupt it some. And, 15 plus yards downfield, that's just wild. So I think that's shouldn't have happened anyway, and it almost cost them the game against Miami. But I think they'll dial it back some. But to your point, they are explosive. Stephon Diggs is a stud. And first, starting with him, how do you slow him down? I think you're going to have to double him. And, asking Eli Apple or asking Cam Taylor-Britt or insert Mike Hilton, who's their best corner right now, certainly best healthy corner. Staying with him one-on-one is a challenge. So double him as much as you can. They also have Gabe Davis, who's a big target, but you can put him in single coverage. It does hurt that you don't have Trey Flowers against a guy like Dawson Knox, who has a touchdown in 5 straight games. It's kind of an under-the-radar weapon at tight end for the Bills. But who knows? Maybe Flowers is able to go. If not, you're going to rely on Dax Hill, and you're going to rely on guys like that to step up. But I think that this secondary, the one benefit to Eli Apple getting beat on that double move, and there aren't many, right? Because that was a real game changer, 41-yarder to Demarcus Robinson. You survived the game. And so now what is Lou Anarumo hitting on all the time, not just with Eli, but with all these guys? Do not get beat deep against now a team that's going to try to beat you deep. So it becomes an even bigger point of emphasis, I think, this week. And they're going to give up some big plays. You just want to limit those. And so it's a concern, but it's not like the secondary has given up a ton of huge numbers to wide receiver ones this season. So I think Diggs is going to get his. You might look up and he might have 10 receptions for 100-plus yards. You just don't want him to have 2 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. You want to limit those big plays.
All right, James, we ask you every week. You're jumping on the big bird, I'm assuming. Are you flying or are you driving tomorrow?
Oh, driving. Luxurious bus I'm driving up there tomorrow. And because the thing is if you have to go to the airport and there's no direct flights and it's the same time, I'd rather control my own destiny in the car.
Well, see, James, I was a guy that got in the car last week. I've said this a couple of times. I mean, a real man like yourself, I'm sure, is driving straight to Buffalo. You're not stopping for the night. I drove from here to Texarkana, Texas last Friday afternoon, didn't leave till 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and got all the way down to Texarkana, Texas. Brandon Seho is having to stop to get a little rest and break up the ride in Akron, Ohio. So I'm assuming you're going straight through?
Wait, he's stopping in Akron on the way to Buffalo?
Oh, yeah. He's with his mom. His stepdad. I know they're gamers.
Oh.
I know they're gamers. But Brandon,
for the night,
gets a little tired.
Oh, my. He's always been a diva. But stopping to Buffalo, I can't wait to text him. I mean, that's wild to me. I mean, I bet he takes
that, James.
A bathroom break on the way to Columbus. My goodness.
I would probably need a couple of those. So I'm not going to step on a guy about bathroom breaks. You live on coffee.
On the way to Columbus?
Believe me, it's happened multiple times. But the point I'm making here is this. I love that word, diva. That's a great word. I should have used it earlier myself. I give you the credit for it. I mean, he is leaving today. So they can get up there, leave about 4 in the afternoon. They're going to stop outside of Akron to get a good night's sleep. Then I don't know how far Akron is to Buffalo. It can't be more than, 2 hours? Yeah. Tops.
I don't know either because I'm not stopping in Akron. I don't.
Brandon, do you want to defend yourself before we let James go? I mean, he just referred to you as a diva, and I basically did without using that word.
I mean, he's right. He's known me long enough where, he's right. It's a nice family trip. I was trying to get my brother to fly, meet me there. I was going to drive all the way Saturday by myself. Mom and stepdad wanted to go. They got some points. You know about points, being on the road. James, burn some points. Enjoy nice Akron, Ohio tonight. Get there nice and early tomorrow. On Saturday. Yeah, tomorrow settle in. Get ready for the Jags to beat the Chiefs. Have a good day.
So when are you going to get to Akron? Like 8, 7, 8?
I can't hear what he's saying because I don't have
When do you get into Akron tonight?
I'll get there around, I think, 8, 9, maybe something like that.
Man. All right. Well, enjoy. Drink a cold one. I'm sure there's like an Outback you can go to in Akron.
Amen. I'm all about it. All about Outback. Got no problem with Outback.
Bloomin'
A
Onion.
Chili's.
And there's another one, or a one of my.
There's definitely Coors Light in Akron.
What is the
and
one
James
that,
knows I like my Coors Light.
That's true.
Gosh,
You're not diva with beer.
That's debatable. All right, James, safe travel. Oh, okay, prediction. You got a prediction for the game?
Yeah, Bengals 35-31. If you think, or 34-31, excuse me, by a field goal. I think Evan McPherson is perfect on the day. 4 for 4 extra points, 2 for 2 field goals, and the Bengals force they're +2 in the turnover battle when it's all said and done. And whether they turn it over once and force 3 or just force 2 turnovers, I think that they'll give themselves the edge that way. It's going to be a tight one though, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's about 8 different game stories that get scrapped throughout that game on my computer here. So
all right, buddy. We'll safe travels up and back, and we'll look forward to catching up with you. We, as always, thank you for your time, James.
Of course. Thanks. And Brandon, be safe, man. I know it's going to be a tough trip to Akron tonight.
Yeah, it is. It is. Godspeed ahead for all. Diva! Drops a diva on him.
Accurate.
Man, I thought that word was reserved for NFL wide receivers. But, I mean, James Rapine just dropped diva on his buddy Brandon Seho. It's a big-time word.
It's big time. Picks coming up shortly.
I mean, Everett, you're wearing it out here. Okay, I know that I've brought up the drive to Texas twice. It's because we've had guests on, and we're talking about the drive. Let it go. Or maybe you're telling me to let it go. That's fine. I'll let it go. I won't do it again. All right.
Boom Shakalaka's still hanging out at the Great Wolf Lodge. Are you a Great Wolf Lodge guy, Tom?
You know, I always wanted to go up there with my wife, with the kids when they were little. I went up there for the day, but I always wanted to spend the night. I thought it looked like those rooms with the bunk beds and all the different motifs and things. I thought it all looked so cool. She never wanted to go up there and do it. I thought it looked awesome. Maybe I'll go stay there this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, me and Alex
I'm here by myself.
Alex and I are considering that a honeymoon destination. Just drive up over there to Mason by Kings Island.
Hey, you know what? They have lots
Great
of
Wolf
different
Lodge.
motifs. You can change rooms every night.
Ooh. How about that?
A little advice. Just a thought. You know, I might leave here in Hamilton, Ohio, and just go check in.
Why not?
Right?
Get the fellas up there, Tom. There you go. Do that for the weekend.
Probably not on the not on the docket, as they say. All right. Anybody else have anything worth mentioning? No. Nothing. Zero. Brian keeps talking about the banana phone, which, of course, has disappeared from the Reds radio network all the years when they used to do rain delays.
Sad.
I got to find out about that music, though. There's going to come a time when we're going to take calls in the not-too-distant future around here, potentially.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, problem is trying to figure out how to screen the calls to make sure that we don't get anything that doesn't need to go over the air. Yeah. The
we
chat
need
is
the
bad
Berlin
enough.
Wall with this group.
I mean, yeah, we could take calls. I mean, I've got it all set up for us to take calls, but it's about the screening, and I could screen only so much before someone just,
We open up the Wild West.
I'm telling you, the Wild West is in full force today.
Look at
I
Emperor.
mean, they turns it into everything.
We're all losers with nothing worthwhile to add. Emperor.
Okay.
All right.
We've got somebody called Darth Brando that's in the chat today. And Alvin's in the chat. And I think he's the one that is saying over and over that the Bengals are going to get their brains beat in this week.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have an interesting
I
show
think
on
it's
Monday.
him. I think. Somebody was in the chat earlier talking about the Bengals are going to get drilled.
I don't think they'll get drilled. I don't think there's a world where they get drilled.
Yeah, I just can't see them getting blown out.
I am really surprised by the Eric Weddle comment yesterday. I got to tell you, and I know we're going to take a break and we'll get to picks. I've had a chance to meet the guy a long time. His story is a great story. You know, he comes out of high school. He's this phenomenal athlete, but he's not being recruited by the quote-unquote big boys. He goes to the University of Utah. He changes positions. He was a running back at Utah. He was a wide receiver at Utah. He was the defensive player of the year at Utah. There was a game, I can't remember the columnist who wrote it, that said the only people that were on the field for more plays in the game than Eric Weddle were the officials. He was playing both ways at big-time college-level football at Utah. That's a big-time program. They've gotten better and better since he left. But, I mean, you know, this was after Urban had left and gone on to Florida and Whittingham took over. But I was shocked by his comments yesterday. This guy's been around, was a great player for a long, long time in the NFL, primarily with the Chargers, a little bit with the Ravens. Rams bring him out of retirement, so he got a Super Bowl ring.
So just to
I
clarify,
don't know how you ever say about anybody in any game that they have zero chance, no chance, none, N-U-N, none, to win a game. That is hard to believe that a guy who played in the NFL on a competitive level with the greatest football players in the world, and he's seen Joe Burrow, he's seen Chase, he's seen Higgins, he's seen what this team has done the last 2 years. And I'm not sitting here saying that they're going to win the game, but no chance? Zero?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that he said it because he's a Raven at heart. And that he played us in the Super Bowl, and he won a Super Bowl ring against us. Of course he's going to say that. Zero chance? Yeah.
Should have lost to the Ravens, got outplayed by the Ravens, zero chance against the Bills. Those were his 3 quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Now, Joshua says he backed off at the end of the interview. I watched a good solid 2 minutes of it, where he said zero chance, what Paul just said, against the Ravens, they couldn't do anything once Williams went out of the game. They were lucky to win. I think there's some truth to that. I think there's some truth to being lucky to win the game. They could have very easily lost the game. But zero chance?
When are people going to stop giving the Bengals bulletin board material? When is that going to start? Don't they know, like, time and time again, we just prove people wrong? Like,
Let's go.
To me, the Eric Weddle thing, it doesn't bother me at all because I expected it from him. Honestly, that's what I expect from an ex-Raven. Whether or not that's harsh thinking or whatever, or my background just not liking the Ravens at all. But that doesn't surprise me at all that he said zero chance because the Ravens have always looked down upon us.
All right, we're going to take a break. And one thing before we go to break. You just heard James Rapine say, right at the end there when I asked him for the prediction, that Evan McPherson, according to him, is going to show up ready to go. He was Money Mac this time a year ago. Is he going to be Money Mac this go-round? They need McPherson when he steps on the field, and you're hoping every time he steps out there it's for a point after touchdown. Multiple times, which he missed again, by the way, for the 4th time this year last week. There's another guy. Yeah, you can make your reputation that first go-round as being Money Mac. He better be Money Mac on Sunday. Are the Ham and Eggers taking it again?
We are if you are stepping away.
I am stepping away.
All right.
Coffee and water.
Sounds good. We got it.
Breakfast of champions.
It's that time of the show, the Ham and Eggers. These guys are great. Trust me, I would know. I introduce all the best segments.
All right. Well, before we get into anything else that we're talking about, I want to make sure that we talk about things with the show and what's going on here. So, Casey, are you planning on being back here on Monday for the show?
I do try to plan on being back here.
I don't blame you if you're not.
No, I plan on trying to come in regardless how late. I can't miss a Monday that big.
All right. If they lose, I don't blame you.
That's okay. I understand. But like I said, for regardless, win, lose, draw, which they can't
You're
draw.
a good man, Casey.
Win, lose, I will be coming in and giving my thoughts from the game.
Thomas says he'll make sure you're here. I appreciate that, Thomas. In one piece.
Of course.
The other thing that, just some things, we've gotten over 1,000 followers on TikTok. And TikTok's been doing really, really well. TikTok's been killing it. So if you haven't followed us on TikTok, make sure you go do that. You can follow us on Twitter. I don't think we have any giveaways this weekend, but you can follow us on Twitter. You can go to Instagram. We're also on Instagram. That one's at Chatterbox Sports, also Thom Brennaman TV. He's on there as well. The Discord, I need to put the Discord link back in the chat. The Discord has been phenomenal over the last couple of weeks. So if you're not in there, make sure you join the Discord. Also, if you're watching this video right now, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video. The subscription numbers we can see, they just keep going up and up. It's like a steady growth rate. It's been great over the last couple of weeks. So make sure you like the channel or subscribe to the channel, like the video. Anything else, Casey, that I'm forgetting that we haven't pubbed?
No, I don't think so. No, I think you hit all the boxes, checked all the boxes.
Okay.
But the main reason I wanted to come back to us, the ham and egg segment here,
okay,
was because of last night, how close we were to winning some really big money, and how much money we ended up losing. At least in my case, my streak is officially over. I lost 9 units last night. Part of it was because I decided to play the NHL, and I know nothing about it. So that was a really big mistake. I should have asked the puck expert over here, Brandon Sejo, for some advice. But my streak has come to an end, and I didn't follow my own advice, which was I didn't like a whole lot of things. But I decided I wanted to bet, and I wanted to bet some serious money, but you live and you learn on that. Take your profit when you can. That's my next advice.
I will say, looking at the Not Too Picky Twitter, I did not get in on the Buffalo parlay last night because when it got sent, Reed was cooking that up because he wanted to get to Buffalo. When it got sent, I was busy and I didn't get it in before the first tip-off. Plus 1258, that hit again. If you have followed Not Too Picky's picks this week, you're up 18.5 units. 2 out of the 3 parlays have hit, including the last one at plus 1258. The picks have been all over the place, and they've been hitting. Reed had a parlay that had 2 additional picks on it. Those picks were the 2 picks that he listed on the graphic. So Reed parlayed the 4 picks on the Not Too Picky graphic, plus the 2 picks that he gave out under his names section. The UCLA and Arizona State under was set at 134.5. It was looking phenomenal 13 minutes into the game. It was 11-10 with 27 minutes left in the game. Then all of a sudden, both teams started scoring a lot. UCLA went on a run to separate themselves. Bruins ended up winning by 12, but more importantly, they covered the over. The game went over, and they scored 136. Went over by 1.5. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, I would have been up 100 units.
100 units?
Yeah.
How much money is that for you, Casey?
$1,000. $1,000.
Yeah.
I would have
$20. A $20 bet on that parlay would have won you $1,000, and it missed by 1.5.
That's so brutal, too.
I know.
Because I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, I'm going to check in on that amazing parlay because at the beginning of the first half of the game, it was 10 minutes left, and it was 11-8.
Yeah. That's
It looked so good. And then I'm watching the last couple minutes of this game, and it's coming down to the wire. I'm like, this is going to go over. And there was a little bit of hope.
There was.
There was only 30 seconds left before they scored the final basket.
Yeah.
And, that was just killer.
Yeah.
Just killer.
Yeah, they were at 134, and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, maybe this might go on.
Did you guys bet any women's basketball in Europe?
Brandon may have. I don't.
No, not today.
I do not. Yeah, it was. I got killed last night on Gonzaga money line. I took him live. Got murdered on that.
Yeah,
But we live and we learn. UCLA got me back. I had UCLA 4.5, so they got me back.
Mick Cronin, he's got it going on.
I trust them, even on the road. They got a huge one this weekend against Arizona.
I am predicting that's your college basketball national champion.
UCLA?
I'm saying that right now in middle of January. That's your national champ this year.
Okay.
All right.
We got picks.
Here we go.
We got picks.
All right, so we're going to start on where we are. I've been officially eliminated.
Yep.
And for those of you that don't know, new to the program, and there are hundreds of you daily new to the program, if not thousands new to the program on a daily basis, $1,000 goes to the charity of choice. And right now, let's be honest about it. With 3 weeks to go, so we have 4 games this weekend in the NFL. We would have 2 games next weekend in the NFL, and then we would have the Super Bowl.
We have 7 games remaining.
Yes.
So Thom has been eliminated. Casey can still win, but the problem is I have a feeling Casey and I are going to be on the same side of a game, which means probably the best we can do is tie. But we are making these picks live. We have usually what we do for these picks is we come in here, we set up all the graphics before the game. Before the show starts, we set up all the graphics and make our picks at around 9:45. We have not made our picks yet, so I don't know where Casey is going with these games. He kind of gave me a tease where he was thinking yesterday, but I don't know where Thom's going with these. I don't know where Casey is going, but I am not picking. I'm going to pick these based. I'm not picking these for the competition. I'm picking these based on what I think is gonna
what you would normally bet on. Okay.
Yeah,
But now somebody in the chat threw out an idea, and we flirted with this early. Okay, with 7 games left, I'm 8 back, so I'm the only guy. Okay, so you might be on board with this. I mean, do we double the amount of the correct picks at this point?
You mean
so you get double the number if you get the win. Okay, so if we all pick the Bengals, they all win. We all go +2. On losses, you go -2.
Oh, man, that would jack up the whole we could.
This is like a press bet in golf, which I used to play many years ago. I don't play anymore, but found myself behind frequently, so we would always lean on the press bet at around number 15.
I'm not going to – I don't want to do that, but I'm also in the lead.
That's fair enough. You don't want to do it. It's no big deal. I'm just throwing it out there.
Is it down to a majority vote? Are we doing it that way?
Here, wait. Why don't we wait to do that until after this weekend? Because there will be 3 games left after this weekend, and the race will still be close enough that if you double the points of the last 3 games, it could make it close enough.
Well, if we get down to only 3 games left, we're going to probably have to make that a +4, -4. You can't do +2, -2 with 3 to go.
Well, if
because
Casey goes 4-0 here, and I go 1-3.
I'm not worried about Casey.
We're talking about a 2-game difference. Just saying, 3-game difference.
Well, you're getting killed in the chat, Paul. These people thought you were a gambling man. And, you are until you have to protect your own.
This has been a 20-week competition.
I get it.
It's been a 20-week competition.
I'm never going to beat a man down for protecting the lead. You've gone into the 4-corner offense. For those of you old enough to remember the 4-corner offense by Dean Smith. Okay, I guess it's straight up. We're playing for 1-1-1-1. Do you get a -1 if you lose?
We could do that. Because even that, do we? I don't know. I want to win this, but
don't
I want to win this.
-1. When you lose, you lose.
I don't know. Let's just make our picks.
All right, let's make our picks.
We'll decide later. We'll tell everyone.
We'll figure it out.
What we decide.
Do we have
Emperor says you're in victory formation, Paul. It's sort of sad. All right, let's go. Joshua says it's like changing the rules in the NFL. What the hell you think they just did this year with the home field and flipping coins? Change the rules.
All right, let's do a coin flip.
Let's do a coin flip.
No.
Paul had a week where Trace did his picks.
Paul's charity is the Jackie the Jeep Fund.
The Paul Needs Money Foundation. The Seinfeld, the Human Fund. That's what it is.
The Human Fund.
All right, here we go. Where are we starting?
We are starting Jags at Chiefs.
Just love saying it. The Jags in Kansas City. Well, that's a big number thanks to our friends at Betfred Sportsbook. All right, you two, since you're in the hunt, I'm going to let you lead it off. Go ahead.
Okay. Are we going?
You go, Casey.
Right. I'm picking the Jags on this one.
The Jaguars.
I have faith. They are a poor man's Bengals, but I do have faith. They've been really, really hot as of late. I just like the Jaguars, and I think they can match up well against the Chiefs. I just don't know. 9 is a big spread, right? I mean, I don't know if they can win, but I do think 9 is too much. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the Chiefs here. I know all season I have not liked spreads over a touchdown, but I am going to take the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs kill them. I think the Chiefs are a very good team.
All right.
Tom?
You know, I got to tell you, much to what my head is telling me, I'm taking the Jags.
Jags!
I like the Jags.
Okay. So, let's throw it on up there.
I'm telling you, the show.
Straight in the tank.
It's filtrated from the chat to Casey. It's falling apart.
All right. Giants and Eagles. The Giants are the Eagles rather are 7.5 point favorites. Casey.
You want me to go again?
Oh, I mean, I'll go if you want me to.
Yeah, we said it was going to be every other one.
Okay.
So you go ahead, Paul, this time.
Well, fellas.
Fighting Doug Petersons.
Well.
Jags, go ahead.
If you know me, you know I can't pick against my boy.
Oh, boy.
You know I can't pick against my boy. Danny Dimes. Give him to me. All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Eagles on this one, just so I can give myself a chance to win. I think the spread is big right now, 7.5. I thought it was at 7, but I guess it went up to 7.5 today. So the Eagles are just a better team, man. They're just a better team. They gotta get this one. Gotta get this one.
Tom?
I am a little worried about the health of Jalen Hurts. I'm not alone. In Philadelphia, they're wondering the same thing. He came back for the last game, Week 18. And he said after the game, coaches said after the game, he wasn't at 100%. 2 weeks have gone by now. The Eagles were the best team in the NFL. I thought he was the best player in the NFL when he originally got hurt. But the bottom line is he's only played in one game, and that's not even a full game. In the last month. That's a month.
That's tough.
And I'm taking Philly.
Wow.
Yeah, let's go, Tom.
What a heel turn.
Philly.
The Eagles.
We love it. We're going to make up some games tonight.
All right.
Not tonight, but this week.
All right, here we go.
The next one, Cowboys and the Niners. Niners are 4-point favorites.
It's a good game.
Tom, you're up first here.
I am without a doubt taking the fighting Kyle Shanahans and the fighting Brock Purdy's.
Yep.
This is going to be a massacre in San Jose, California.
Casey? Come on, Casey. Do it, Casey. Do it, Casey.
I'm taking the 49ers.
Oh, wow. I thought you were taking the boys.
No, I gotta be different. I gotta give myself a chance.
Casey, I'm taking the 49ers.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You have Cowboys on your thing.
No. I had duplicated it from last week. I hadn't made my pick yet.
Well, give me the Cowboys then.
Ah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, the game's in Santa Clara. I said San Jose. We used to stay in Santa Clara for no, we stayed. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, it's in Santa Clara.
All right. I'm with you, Tom. I'm taking the 49ers here. The fighting Brock Purdy's.
Man, this is going to be the game for Brock Purdy for me to finally say that he's deserves to be in the top 10 conversation, because he's played like he deserves to be in the top 10, but against this defensive pass rush, we'll see.
I don't understand why Mike McCarthy takes so much heat from people. I don't get it. I was looking, I think Colin Cowherd was the one who did a post your resume, and you're not going to tell him who it is. And he went through division championships, number of years as a head coach, winning percentage, won a Super Bowl, NFC championship games, playoff wins, playoff record. And you can say, well, the guy had Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he had Aaron Rodgers. Okay, fine. And he's got Dak Prescott. Okay. I mean, this guy has been a really good coach in this league for a long time. All coaches are going to make mistakes. And let's never forget, Andy Reid got run out of Philly. Andy Reid got run out of Philly because he could not win the big one. McCarthy's won the big one. McCarthy, if I'm not mistaken, has a better winning percentage in his career than both Harbaugh and Andy Reid.
Is that true?
I'm pretty sure that's true.
It's true on this show.
It's a good way of putting it. Now, listen, I just want to check something here real quick, okay? Mike McCarthy, right? Okay.
Mike McCarthy.
Leader of men. No question. No question about it. He's a Pittsburgher. You can tell by his accent the second he walks in a room. Okay, let's walk through this, right? First year, he goes 500. Next year, wins 13, first in the division. Then they had a setback. Next year, wins 11, makes the playoffs. Next year, wins 10, wins the Super Bowl. Next year, 15-1, losing the playoffs, first in the division. Next year, 11-5, first in the division, losing the divisional. Next year, they go 8-7, but they still finish first in the division. Next year, 12-4, first in the division, losing the championship game. 10-6 the next year, second in the division, losing the divisional round. 10-6 the next year, first in the division, lost in the NFC championship game. Then 2 bad years at Green Bay, out. Comes to Dallas, shaky first year. Last 2 years, 12-5, first in the NFC East. This year, 12-5. Career record, 155 wins, 97 losses, a 614 winning percentage.
It's not bad. It's
All
pretty
right.
good.
It's pretty good.
Do we have the charities that we're going to donate to? Do we want to?
Well, we know yours is the Jeep Fund. And that's not the Jimmy Fund up in Boston. This is the Jeep Fund.
I wish it was the Jeep Fund. I mean,
Casey, have you thought about it?
We can talk about it.
I'm probably going to do something with something to do with multiple sclerosis.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good one.
But
Good one.
that's a personal family issue that we have in our family. So
So do we.
Okay.
Near and dear to our heart.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Okay. Paul?
Special Olympics for me.
How you gonna beat that?
My dad helped found Special Olympics golf. My parents met at a Special Olympics golf event. I have worked forever with Special Olympics, so and my uncle has Down syndrome. So Special Olympics are very, very important to me, and I've done a lot with them over the years. So Tom, well,
Dude, don't read the chat.
I'm not reading the chat.
I mean, you don't want to read it.
I'm not reading the chat.
These are serious degenerates.
Oh.
Sir Boy Wonder. Here we are having a serious conversation about serious issues like MS and
Special Olympics.
Special Olympics. And
What about you, Tom?
we get this.
You thought about it?
We get this.
I don't wanna
I'm
put you
going
on
to
the
give
spot.
mine. You know, I'm a big animal guy. I'd give mine to the SPCA Cincinnati
Okay.
if I win.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. So
That leaves us, Tom, with one more order of business here.
What might that be? We're going to get to that in a second. We're not there yet. Hold on.
It is.
We're not there yet. We're not out of time yet.
No, but we have one more game to pick.
That's right. We got a game to do before we're going to have you guys try to keep the streak alive.
Are you doing it, Tom? Are you picking the Bengals or are you picking the Bills?
Oh, I'm taking the Bengals.
All right.
For sure. For sure. I think the Bengals go in there and they win this game and take it to Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. All in.
Casey.
You know I'm not taking the Bills here. I'm taking the Bengals. And if you were a man of your word, you would have the Bills in your bracket.
I do have the Bills in my bracket, but the Bengals continue to cover. Whether the Bills win or not, I think that this is a close game.
Whatever. Just take the Bills.
I do appreciate that you tried to convince me there, but I can't. I'm not doing it. The Bengals, plus 5.5, absolutely. Bengals.
Boys, go ahead. What were you going to say, Paul?
I was going to say the Bengals. I mean, even back looking last year, look at the Super Bowl. You know, they only lost by 3. They play in the playoffs. It's a close game either way. Give me the Bengals plus 5.5. And fellas,
do not strike up the band yet.
Okay.
I want that to be our final thing as a send-off before we go off the air. We do have
a great cherry on top.
Well, let's do that now. Our cherry on top presented by United Dairy Farmers.
Yeah,
Zen moment.
Go ahead, Paul.
In an ode to the chat over the last couple of minutes, we have this great one from a guy on Twitter, Justin Dine. The Treasury Department, to tweet the national debt, $31 trillion. Our guy Justin, the Treasury Department just needs to put $38 trillion on Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. We'll be out of this mess.
Well, hey, look, Biden wants to get rid of the debt ceiling and just blow it up even further, so what the hell's the difference? I mean, you lose a bet, it's going to blow up anyway. It's no big deal.
Politics, let's go.
Here we go.
All right, fellas.
We have the box lunch coming up. Is Trace in for part of this today or just you?
I think it's just me today, Tom.
So you and these two guys.
Me and the Ham and Eggers. Sam, you're more than welcome to get on as well.
Well, he's taking a lot of heat. He took a beating today. He was referred to as a diva.
You're kind of hard on Seho at times with the, he takes naps at the Holy Grail at 1
I love naps. I got no problem with naps.
Now, Tom, I've got to ask a favor for you.
Yes.
All right, so whether you're aware of this or not, probably not, I've been trying to hit these crazy parlays the past few days in order to get a ticket to Buffalo. Been close the last few weeks. I'm starting to think outside the box because I don't think the parlay is the way to go. So I started looking around my house, and I was like, what can I sell in order to get Buffalo Bengals tickets? And fortunately enough, I found this thing right here. This is All-Star Baseball 2005.
What the hell are you laughing at? It's a big-time game.
I know what he's about to ask you.
You ask on the back of it, it says, play-by-play Thom Brennaman.
Yeah, it's the last job I had. Go ahead.
This is your last video game?
I can't remember if that was was that the one made by Acclaim or is that Microsoft?
Acclaim.
Yes, that was the last one I made. Yes.
It's a great game. So what we're going to do is you're going to sign this if you would be so nice. God. And we're going to throw it on eBay today.
Are you shitting
for $1,000 because I know this is a hot bidding topic. And someone it's gonna snatch up like hotcakes, and then I'm gonna go to the Bengals-Bills game.
Is this a joke?
What? This is serious as a heart attack.
He's got the marker.
I've got the Sharpie.
What did the game cost back in the day? About $14.95.
Probably like $40 here.
No, it wasn't $40 back in those days.
Come on.
No chance it was $40. You got a better chance. You got a better chance of getting Seho's autograph on that tired UC sweatshirt he rolls in here with from time to time to get $1,000 than me signing this. Although it's pretty big league when Derek Jeter's on the cover.
Your name's on the back, Thom Brennaman and Steve Lyons.
Yes, indeed. Yep. Yeah. Here we go. Just on this right here. Is it going to stay on there? Okay, there we go. And we might have to, if it does, even if it gets you a couple of
$1,000,
$24, then we'll make sure that somebody still gets it, right?
Deal. If it goes for over $1,000,
it's not going for over $1,000.
Tom, I think you're vastly underestimating this.
All right, okay. What's that look?
I mean, 1,000. You could probably draw a couple thousand for that.
You're not going to get $1,000 out of that.
Thanks, Tom.
I hope you do, because I'd love to see you go. I'd love for you to see you go.
When he gets 2,000, we'll both get tickets, and then we'll go up together. We'll drive up together, stop in Akron, because that's the good midway point.
I have to take care of the dogs at home. I'd love to go. If you don't go, you're more than welcome to come on over and hang out and have a few beers at the house and watch a game.
Miller High Lifes?
Whatever you want.
Right.
Whatever you want. Right around the corner from the UDF. You can get whatever you want.
Nice. Labatt Blues.
You can walk there. I don't think you can get Labatt Blues there. I probably, although I think you can get those at a little watering hole down the street, if that's what you really want. All right, boys. Look, this has become now a tradition for you two. Okay? So I just want to make sure I know the semantics because we got moving parts here a little bit. Are you guys getting up and changing chairs and all that?
After this, I'm gonna go sit over there. Brandon will come here, and then we'll do the box lunch.
Okay, but we'll go to some kind of a rollout.
We'll go to a break.
Okay, all right, boys and girls, here we are, divisional round, right? This is a game we were waiting for on that Monday night in Cincinnati, and the Bengals looked so good. Touchdown, gave up a field goal, going down the field, tragedy. And Damar Hamlin, thank the Lord above, that young man's okay. I bet he's going to be at the game on Sunday. I don't know if they've announced that yet or not, or whether they're just going to surprise everybody and have him show up. I hope he's there. But this is, going all the way back to August. And you talk about that first game against the Steelers, terrible. Second game against Cooper Rush and the Cowboys, terrible. Bengals have only lost 2 games since then. They've won 8 in a row. They are playing a team that has won 7 in a row. 2 of the juggernauts go toe-to-toe. And we're hoping, when all is said and done, that on multiple occasions, as they do at Paycor Stadium, when the Bengals score touchdowns, we hope you can hear from the thousands of Bengal fans that'll be at that game, and apparently they're going to be a ton there. We have 2 sitting in this room, maybe 3. Boys, strike up the band. What do we hope to hear Sunday?
Lean and angry, here he comes a-prowling. Lean and hungry, an offensive brute. Run, pass, or boot. And defensively, he's rough, tough. Cincinnati Bengals, that's the team we're gonna cheer to victory. Touchdown Bengals, put some points up on that board and win a game for Cincinnati.
Woo! Who
they think gonna beat them Bengals? Nobody.
It's time for box lunch. Gentlemen, great job. Safe travels. Safe travels, Casey.
Of course.
You and your mistress, Tomas. Brandon, don't wear yourself out. Not too long behind the wheel. I hope you get the cash so you can go.
Put it on eBay the second the show's over.
Paul, good luck to the Musketeers tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. Everybody have a safe weekend. Enjoy the game. No drinking and driving. None of that stuff, okay? Let's have a great weekend. We invite you to come back Monday. And hopefully we're talking about a Bengalis win. Have a great weekend, everybody.
I must admit, I didn't think much of this show the first time I laid eyes on it. Seemed like a bunch of stiffs wasting nice
the worst
microphones.
Trade of all time happened back in 1803. Go ahead. Napoleon Bonaparte traded the Louisiana Purchase for $3 million. Napoleon, what happened? Half the country for $3 million. You can't even get Tucker Barnhart for $3 million.
Then I came to realize these guys are funny.
And Justin Fields have identical stats the last 5 weeks about throwing the football. This guy, okay,
And
folks,
are
is a
some of the
fidget
best
spinner.
gamblers I've come to know.
If
If you're betting on USC and or TCU, let it be known you are a square.
TCU is going to hammer this team tomorrow night.
I hate to hear that.
Tomorrow
when we come back
afternoon.
in here on Monday, you're going to be happy as a lark because USC lost, but you're going to be wrong about TCU.
Get ready for the most useless hour of your day. It's time for Boxed Lunch, presented by Betfred Sportsbook. Now, Casey, run that track.
Casey, I should have had you ready to queue up Welcome to the Jungle. We did that last week, but we'll end the show with it today. This is Box Lunch presented by Betfred Sportsbook. I'm Reed Mouse Paul Fritzner to my right, and then, of course, the other cast of characters, Brandon Seho and Casey McAllister. We got a good show today. Thom had a great show, so we'll keep it rolling.
I just want to know in the chat. I'm interrupting you. I just want to make sure Trace is okay.
Trace is okay. Trace is okay. He's got a meeting. And I think him and Thom are going to go do a meeting, try to make this company some money. So we'll keep it rolling. But we're going to start the show off, and we're going to talk about, of course, the big news, which is the Bengals-Bills this Sunday, divisional game. And there seems to be sort of this mentality that for some reason people are so low on the Bengals because of the way they played against the Ravens, but you don't hear a similar tune said about the Bills and the way that they played against the Dolphins. And I'm genuinely wondering why it is that way. Listen, for what it's worth, the Bengals played better than the Bills this past Sunday. Let's break it down a little bit. So obviously the Bengals offense really didn't move the ball a whole lot. They only got the ball 7 times. The way John Harbaugh schemed up that game, we knew it was going to be a muddy mess, and they planned that to perfection. Only giving the Bengals the ball 7 times was exactly in their game plan, and it almost worked. But the defense came through when it needed to. Meanwhile, the Bills, they had 16 possessions. They scored on 6 of those 16 possessions, so about a third, while the Bengals almost scored on half of their possessions. They scored on 3 of 7. If the Bills give the Dolphins 15 possessions, why can't the Bills give the Bengals 15 possessions? They almost lost to a quarterback who has the worst stat line that I've ever seen in a postseason. 40% completion percentage, 18 for 44, and still the Dolphins put up 30 points. And let's talk about the teams themselves that they played. The Bengals played the Ravens, who went about 500 over the last 8 weeks, despite losing their star quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Meanwhile, we were talking about the Dolphins being a Super Bowl team when they started out the season 8-3. And then they limp in, almost losing 7 of their last 8 games. And then you face a third-string quarterback who had only 1 start, and you give up 30 points at home. And let's talk about the defenses. Bengals, though they gave up 155 yards on the ground and never were able to get off of the field, still, when it came to crunch time, got the big stop. They not only got the big stop, they had a 14-point swing, of course, on Sam Hubbard's. And that's what the Bengals defense does time and time again. Meanwhile, the Bills give up 30-plus points, and granted, there was 3 turnovers, but they give up 30-plus points to the Miami Dolphins and Skylar Thompson. Guys, what am I missing on this chatter?
You mean why the Bengals aren't getting respect?
Why does it seem like everyone is down-talking about the way the Bengals played? Said Sunday they looked like shit. And listen, they didn't look great, but we looked better than the Bills. Why aren't we talking about the way the Bills lost? Is it because the perception of we lost another O-lineman, so they're just piling it on?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the fact that the Bengals didn't look great, plus the fact that they now have lost maybe the most important position on the line, and now you're going to regress to somebody that has clearly not been what the Bengals have needed him to be over the last couple of years. So all of a sudden you put all those factors together, and you're going to Buffalo, and the Bengals have no shot in the eyes of everybody that's talking about this game. Now, what I will say is I tried to reword it there. I have started to see over the last couple of days more and more people in the national narrative pick the Bengals. I always like, whether it's college basketball, whatever it is, when I'm following a team as closely as I follow a team, whether it's, any team around here, the Bengals, whatever, I always like to get a bigger perspective from the national media of what people outside of the Cincinnati market or whatever market you're listening in, because you start to get some thoughts that are maybe more objective or from the flip side of that coin is they might not know as much as the people that are in
Correct.
your city because they're not covering the team as much. But on the other hand, you're getting that outside perspective. You're starting to see people from the national narrative. If you go to different sites now and you start to see, because as the week gets later in the week, the predictions will come out, whether it's against the spread or whether it's straight up, doesn't matter. You'll start to see people make predictions. And I'm looking last night, a site that we get a lot of pub to that we don't get $1 from, The Athletic. I think they had maybe 12 writers pick the game, 12, 14. And I'd say it was 50-50, if not 60-40 Bengals. So you're starting to see more and more confidence, I guess, from the national narrative. But you're still getting the slight to the point, to your point, where I do think that the Bills have just this perception that I don't want to say it's going to be a walk in the park, but for some reason there is this perception that they're going to win. And it may not, it may be a close game, but it won't be a game where if you're a Bills fan, you're worried about it. And I don't really know where that's coming from. Maybe I'm overestimating how much credit the Bills are getting. I don't know.
Well, the Bills won the Super Bowl in the offseason.
That's true. They did get the Lombardi Trophy delivered to Buffalo, handed to them before the season even started. You're absolutely right. But the one thing that no one's talking about is the way that our quarterback played better than their quarterback. Josh Allen is they live by the sword and they die by the sword, and Josh Allen is their sword. He turns the ball over 3 times. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow completes 70% of his passes, doesn't do anything flashy, but wins us the ball game. And Josh Allen almost single-handedly lost that game for Buffalo. And now he's going to play a better defense this Sunday, a team that averages 2 turnovers in their over 2 turnovers in their 5 postseason games over the past 2 years. A guy who is incredibly turnover prone. A guy who looks bad ever since Brian Daboll left and went to New York and made Danny Dimes look to finally be a franchise quarterback. I don't know. I'm missing something here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really just boils down to the Buffalo Bills had Josh Allen and that success earlier than the Bengals' success. And the Buffalo Bills were handed the Super Bowl in the offseason, right? I mean, everyone had them as favorites. I think they look at the narratives and possibly the fact that they're playing us again in Buffalo with a Damar Hamlin return might have something to do with it. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you 100%. The better team last Sunday, in my opinion, was the Bengals. And for them to say that this is going to be a blowout, a lot of national pundits, a lot of just fans, and even Bengals fans, they're worried. They're super worried about this game. But if you really look at it holistically, the upgrade or the perceived downgrade from Jonah Williams to Jackson Carman is not as steep as people
correct
think. Right? Or they shouldn't think that way. But I think they look at it and they go, oh, 3 starting offensive linemen down for the Bengals. There's no way that they can win this game. But you look at how the Bengals got the Super Bowl last year, and it's pretty much the same offensive line that took them to the Super Bowl. So for me, it's more of not a complete understanding of who this Bengals team is, why we're so good. They think that it's our offense when that's just not the case. Our defense, like I said the last couple shows before, our team is a defense-centric team, and it has been. We just get blinded by the fact that we have all these weapons and the potential that we could have been, right? I think we could have very well been a great offensive team, but it's just not shaping up that way right now. This Bengals defense, I have no statistics other than that Josh Allen turns the ball over at a very high rate, but the Bengals are going to get after him, and they're going to get a turnover. With the way that he plays, it's just not sustainable. It's an anomaly, kind of what Sam said from PFF earlier on. I mean, this Bengals defense is going to have their opportunities, and when they get their opportunities, they capitalize.
Say-ho?
I think the narrative would be a lot different going into the game if the Bengals had Alex Kappa and Jonah Williams healthy. I'll throw the LC part out because he got hurt a few weeks ago.
3 weeks, yeah.
But I feel like the narrative would be different if they had those two guys still starting on the offensive line. So you have 40 or 5 opening day starters or week 1 starters. Then this would be looked at as the Bengals. I don't know about being the favorite in Vegas because it's in Buffalo, but I think they'd be the public favorite. The average football fan would be picking the Bengals right now over the Bills if there was not this narrative because of what happened the last 2 years with the Bengals offensive line. We saw it in Nashville last year, 9 sacks against Burrow, against the Titans. We saw it in the Super Bowl. I think that's the offensive line narrative because everything Reed lays out makes sense. If you just look at it objectively, it makes sense. Burrow played better than Allen. The Bengals played better than Buffalo. Like, no one talks about Buffalo struggling against the Dolphins. And I forget who tweeted it, but the Dolphins' offensive line was all shifted around. And there was backups in there, and they moved things around.
Yeah, they were in bad shape, too.
So, I mean,
Bills' defensive line is not great.
Not without Von Miller, right?
It's not great.
Without that pass rush.
It's good for us.
And this is where we go to the next topic, which is the pulse check on Jackson Carman. I need a pulse check on Bengals fans because Casey brings up an incredible point. Why are we acting like Jonah Williams was an all-pro Andrew Whitworth gold jacket tackle? He gave up more sacks than anybody in the league. And I know Jackson Carman played like dog doo-doo on Sunday. But, I mean, to me, to give an analogy to another sport, it's like you're subbing in one reliever that has a 5 ERA and going to a guy that has a 6.5 ERA.
It's the Reds bullpen.
What's it matter? The line is pretty much in a similar stance than it was a week ago.
Yeah, if they had Alex Kappa, it would be different in my mind.
No doubt.
I think if Kappa was playing, I would feel a lot more confident that Burrow wasn't going to get sacked 6 times in this game. I wish he might not. Like, we might be talking about.
Is there an over-under on that?
I'm sure you could.
Just take the over on every pass rusher from the Bills.
Yeah. Casey.
Can I push back a little bit on the Kappa thing, too, though?
Push back. Push as far as you want.
Max Sharping played on a terrible Texans team, and he was average. I mean, the Texans' offense was miserable. And I think there's not really a big discrepancy between Kappa and Sharping, in my opinion. Now, Kappa is definitely one of our best offensive linemen, and I think he's undervalued. But you're going from above average to average, in my opinion. And what difference does that really make at the guard position when they don't really have the defensive line to take advantage of it? They got to send in other pressure from other means. So I don't know. I think this just shapes up really well for the Bengals. And if they were playing if they're playing 49ers, I think that's a reasonable discussion that we can have with Bosa and whoever I can't remember the other guy's name, but they have a really good defensive tackle. They have a really good defensive front. The Bills don't. Their defense is in shambles right now. They don't have without Poyer, with him being hurt, with DeMar Hamlin in that situation, and now he's not playing either. I mean, I think the Bengals are looking at this like this is a great opportunity. They're being looked at as underdogs, and I don't know how the Bills players look at this, but I would be scared. And I brought this up in the other show too. Our defensive line matches up way better against their offensive line. I'd be scared as a Bills fan. I would.
The key is to keep Joe Burrow, JB9, upright and to force Josh Allen a couple turnovers. If we do those two things, you got to like the Bengals' chances. The Bengals have not won a game where Joe Burrow has been sacked 5 times, correct?
Yes.
I believe they're 0-3 on that. So keep him upright, turn Josh Allen over, and you got to like our chances.
Wait, you say you haven't won a game? Oh, you're talking about this year?
This year.
Okay.
Casey, can you look up for me? I don't even know. I've never used PFF, so I don't know how to filter the site. But can you look up for me where the Bills' defensive line grades as a whole, instead of just their individual grades? Do they do that? Like out of every team in the league?
So it's 27th.
Oh, it's 27th. Like just as a whole, just combining everything.
Oh, you mean everything? Okay, yeah, I can look at it.
I'm just curious from PFF's standpoint. You know, I don't know what kind of stat you want to look at, whether it's sacks or whatever. Just give me an idea on PFF where the Bills' defensive line stands. That's all I'm asking.
Anyone in the chat going to Buffalo?
Yeah, is anyone going to Buffalo? Casey and Brandon are going once this PlayStation 2 All-Star Baseball 2005 gets signed. I will be going as well. It is signed by Thom Brennaman. It is currently for auction. 1,000 U.S. American dollars will get you this. Put it on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, all the places, all your normal retail sites coming soon. But, guys, 8 quarterbacks are left in the postseason. 8 teams are left in the postseason. It's the divisional round. So I went through, and I'm going to give you the rankings of how I think all 8 quarterbacks line up going into the divisional round.
I'll do it too.
All right? We'll start it off with number 8. Coming in at dead last, and I don't think this should surprise you guys far too much, and I know this is going to break Paul's heart.
Oh, no. This is right.
Danny Dimes is, without a doubt, the 8th best. We're not going to say the worst quarterback. He's the 8th best because remember, there are 8 teams remaining, so all teams are very good. All quarterbacks are going to be pretty fair as well. Danny Dimes played fantastic. And he passed for over 300 yards, ran for over 70, but against the Minnesota Vikings defense, which is one of the four worst defenses in the entire league. I mean, he diced up one of the worst defenses in the league, and now everyone's going to give him flowers. Danny Dimes under Brian Daboll has been fantastic. He's still the worst quarterback, still in the postseason. 7th, and I'm putting him at 7th not because of his play, because if you're going strictly off of his play over the past few weeks, he might quite possibly have played the best, and that's Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, no one scored more points since Brock Purdy has taken over as the starting quarterback. The simple fact of the matter is he hasn't played a whole lot. We haven't seen what he's done over a year time, and not to mention he's playing with quite possibly the best weapons that the NFL has seen since, the 90s Rams? The late 90s, the greatest show on turf? I mean, they are an absolute wagon, and Brock Purdy isn't being a game manager. He is making plays. Make no bones about it. That being said, we just haven't seen a whole lot of him. He was drafted last for a reason, and we'll see if he can shake that this week against a very good Cowboys team, but until we see it for a longer period of time, he's the 7th best quarterback. And speaking of that Cowboys team, Dak Prescott is the 6th best quarterback still playing this week. And, guys, where else could I put him? This was the easiest guy to place on the entire list. He's clearly better than Brock Purdy and Daniel Jones, but he's clearly not better than anybody else in front of him. He's coming off his best game that he's played. And the Cowboys score a whole lot of points. But the simple fact of the matter is Dak Prescott leads the league in turnovers despite missing a third of the season. And when the Cowboys find themselves in a position to lose, it's often because of their franchise quarterback at Dak Prescott. I think that Dak Prescott can win a Super Bowl with the team that is around him. But I think it is because of the team around him and not because of him. He doesn't propel you to greatness. He is simply the 6th best quarterback still in the postseason. This is where it's going to get a little dicey, guys. This is where we shake it up. I think almost everyone would have had those 3 in the bottom 3. I think the 5th best quarterback still playing is Jalen Hurts. He was an MVP before he was hurt, but running is still a major part of his game. We're looking at the games going forward. And it's explosive when it works, but you got to be a little worried when you got a banged-up running quarterback. And I've brought it up multiple times. They perfected the QB sneak. They ran it twice as much as any other team in the league. 3rd and short, Jalen Hurts QB sneak. 4th and short, Jalen Hurts QB sneak. Can he do that when he's banged up? Time will tell. We'll see if this offense is still the same offense that we saw throughout the season. But until we can see if they're a little worried about running him as much as they have, I don't feel comfortable putting Jalen Hurts any higher. And this is where I'm going to lose some of you guys. And I don't know. I haven't been looking at the chats. But so I'm going to lose some of you. The 4th best quarterback still playing this week, Josh Allen. Ooh. No one wins their games and no one loses their team's games more than Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he's Brett Favre. He's the son of Beast. You know, watching him is thrilling. If you ever rode the Son of Beast, you know about, if you rode that thing about 10 times, 9 times, 8 times out of 10, it was a heck of a thrill. It was great. Fantastic. But every once in a while, it'll make you swear off riding roller coasters ever again. And that's Josh Allen. They live or die by him. And ever since Brian Daboll went to the Giants, he has regressed. He's gotten a little worse. And he's been fantastic to this point in his career in the postseason, sans last week. But I seriously have some problems with him turning the ball over in the red zone, with him trying to be the cowboy, with him trying to be the hero every single game that they ask him to be. I think he's the fourth best quarterback.
Where do we rank on the Josh Allen career trajectory if the Bengals win this game? Like, he's still young. So I don't want to say
just as old as Joe Burrow.
I don't want to say that there's a but I mean I would say Joe's I don't want to craft this narrative that, he can't win the big one just because he lost a once in a lifetime game to the Chiefs last year in a game where he didn't get the ball in overtime. I don't want to craft that narrative, but that inevitably if the Bengals win this weekend, that would mean that the Bengals have beat the Chiefs in the postseason. They beat the Chiefs 3 times in a row overall. They looked great against the Bills for 9 minutes 2 weeks ago, and then the Bengals would have won in the divisional game to go to the AFC Championship. You're going to start to get a lot more rumblings around Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and on the flip side, the Bills.
If Josh Allen and the Bills lose this game, it's not an indictment.
No.
On the Bills whatsoever.
No.
And there will be pundits that try to twist that turn out of it. But the better story would be the fact that Joe Burrow continues to win games like this. That's the better story. So I don't think we look at Josh Allen any worse if they lose this game.
I don't either.
Okay, so you asked me to dig up some holistic, how's the defensive line, right?
Yes, please.
So I couldn't find an exact stat that you're looking for, but here is what I will say.
Okay. You will say this.
$1.
No buzzer.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Bills' pass rush has been 27th ranked since Von Miller's gone down.
Okay.
But even with Von Miller, they were ranked 25th in run defense. The only thing that they can do to stop the run is Matt Milano and Edmonds. Now, here's the thing. They run a lot of nickel. They don't run a lot of 4-3 or 5-2 where they stack the box a bit more. They like to play with a lighter defense.
Sure.
This week, I think it's imperative that they take advantage of that and run the ball. And I think we actually saw a bit of that early on in that Bengals game. To me, the weakness of this Bills defense is the fact that they can't just stack the box or cover. If we play balance, I think we can tear up their defense, just from what I'm looking at here. And I mean, the only guy that you have to really worry about on the Bills team, and I said this a couple weeks ago when we were going to play them, is Gregory Rousseau. And I was just looking at some of his stats, and he's like a Sam Hubbard. So if you're worried about a Sam Hubbard destroying your game, he's not a Trey Hendrickson, he's not a TJ Watt, he's not a Von Miller. He is like our Sam Hubbard. And to me, that does not frighten me as much as it would if it was Von Miller. And I don't think Bengals fans should be worried about him as much as they do. They treat him like a Von Miller, like an Aaron Donald, like a TJ Watt. And I think part of it is just the overhypeness of the Bills in general. I say overhypeness. I don't know if that's the correct word. It's probably not, but the Bills get a lot of love, and I don't think the defensive line is where it's at.
Well,
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that does. I just wanted an idea, a general idea. I mean, I know we've heard a lot from our guys today on off the bench and now that, so just a more well-rounded picture. But go finish your QB list.
All right, getting back. Thank you, Casey. So we got 3 left. Trevor Lawrence is the third best quarterback, and I couldn't place him higher than this. And listen, He had 4 turnovers in his first postseason game. If you want to comp for Trevor Lawrence was the best high school player in the country. He was the best college player in the country. He was the number 1 pick. He showed success in his second year after a lackluster rookie season. Who was the last player to check all those boxes? Anyone? Peyton Manning. 6'5", 6'6", similar frame. Like I said, struggled the first year, came back postseason. And if you want to think, oh man, Peyton Manning drawing comparisons to Trevor Lawrence. Well, Trevor Lawrence won a playoff game in his second season. You know how many seasons it took Peyton Manning to win his first playoff game? He won his first playoff game in his 6th season. For frame of reference, Patrick Mahomes, he's in his 5th season, and we're already tired of hearing about him. So Peyton Manning took longer than we've seen of Patrick Mahomes to win a playoff game. And he's going to continue to get better. And though he put them in quite the hole with 4 turnovers, he pretty much single-handedly won them that game back. Number 2, Joe Burrow. He's the second best quarterback in the QB postseason. He's the second best quarterback on the planet Earth right now. And you can't quantify it. And this might get moans and groans, but dude's a winner. And yeah, he's got great weapons around him. He's incredibly accurate. But what he's done, he has completely brainwashed a city that I'm a part of that previously thought that we were cursed, that we were losers. And JB9 has brainwashed us into believing that we're going to win every game that we walk into. He has single-handedly done that. The team is great around him, but Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in this postseason. And there's only one guy on planet Earth that you'd rather have as your quarterback, and that's Patrick Mahomes. And I know there's a lot of fatigue about Patrick Mahomes, especially in this offense. But man, the dude almost broke the passing record after losing Tyreek Hill. You remember last year when we said, we'll see what he does without Tyreek Hill? Well, he comes back and he almost breaks the passing record. He has his team, which is probably the worst rounded roster in the postseason, at least on the AFC side. He has them as the number 1 seed, has them as the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl, and he's done it without his number 1 receiver being gone for nearly 2 months. And granted, he's got one of the best tight ends probably in the history of the game, but my man is just immaculate, and I don't think that you can make a sensible argument to say that he's not the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Guys, sure. Any problems with that list?
I'll run. I won't detail my reasons, but I'll run through it real quick. My list was Daniel Jones at 8, Brock Purdy at 7. I had Trevor Lawrence 6th.
Okay.
I had Dak Prescott 5th, Jalen Hurts 4th, Allen 3rd, Burrow 2nd, Mahomes 1st. That was my list.
I'd probably go more of the lines of what you just said, Paul.
Okay.
Not high on Trevor Lawrence?
Not yet.
I just want a bigger sample size from Trevor Lawrence. Because is this game against the Chiefs? Do we get the first half against the Chargers? Do we get the second half against the Chargers? I need a bigger sample size.
Still young, right? We'll see.
I mean, if you get both, you win a game, right?
Not against the Chiefs, though.
I mean, is that true, though? I mean, I don't know. I am very high on the Jags. I would have probably put Trevor. What did you have him at, 3?
3. Only behind Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes.
I probably would have put him at 4. Danny Dimes is at 8. Brock Purdy at 7. Dak at 5. Trevor at 4.
You skipped 6.
Who am I?
6 comes between.
Jalen Hurts.
Okay, Jalen Hurts. Okay, so I would have had Pat, Joe, Allen, Trevor, Jalen, Dak, Purdy, Dimes.
I think the only way you can get this list wrong is if you don't have Brock Purdy and Daniel Jones in the bottom 2, and you don't have Patrick Mahomes as number 1. Any shake of the middle, I don't think you can put Dak Prescott above 5. 5's as high as you can put him. But this list can't be wrong as long as you have Daniel Jones, Brock Purdy, the last 2, and Patrick Mahomes is number 1. Fair fiction. Fair or false?
I wouldn't put Joe Burrow 6th. That list would be wrong.
Okay. Sure.
I just don't want the chat to get all over you on that one.
That's fine.
All right.
let's break it into. You guys remember last week?
Let's go.
We
Let's
did
buy or sell.
Buy or sell. Buy.
Is anybody
sell,
buying
sell,
this
sell,
yet?
sell, sell, sell. We need to get those. Buttons. Yeah, if you want to buy, there's a $1,000. We got to put. If it doesn't sell, which the unlikely scenario in which it doesn't sell, maybe we'll put it up against the producer's table and keep it up there. Guys, we did buy or sell last week on all 6 postseason games. I don't remember exactly what they were, and I don't remember how well our takes listed, but I've got 4 more buy or sell scenarios for the games this weekend. And I'll lead it off with you, Paul. The first game this week, this Saturday in the afternoon, is the AFC divisional game between the Jaguars going in to Kansas City. Are you buying or selling that Arrowhead will be too much for Trevor Lawrence?
It won't be too much. Anybody that's played at the highest level of college football, like Trevor Lawrence has, does not get overwhelmed by an NFL atmosphere. I do not. To say that I don't think the home field advantage doesn't matter in the NFL is probably too strong, but home field in the NFL is way too overvalued in my eyes as far as a noise perspective for all of these guys that played in the biggest levels of college football, which they all did. If you're still playing at this point, if you're Trevor Lawrence, you're playing in the national championship, you're playing at Clemson, all those things, that means that you have the experience in front of crowds. Look at Joe Burrow in Death Valley, all that. I don't think Arrowhead will be too overwhelming for Trevor Lawrence from that perspective. But I do think that I don't think the Jaguars keep this one close. And I don't think it's because of Arrowhead. I think it's just because
the Chiefs are better.
I think the Chiefs are just better.
Selling that Arrowhead will be too much, but you are still buying that the
I'm still buying the Chiefs, yeah.
Chiefs are going to cover. All right, Brandon, buying or selling that Arrowhead will be too much for young Prince Trevor Lawrence?
Selling. Arrowhead is fun. I was there for the AFC Championship game last year. It was electric. It is the loudest NFL stadium I've ever been to, and I think statistically it shows that. I am putting some faith in the Jags making it a close game. I don't know if I'll publicly say they're going to win. I want them to win, but I'm selling. I don't think it'll be too much for him. Like Paul said, he played in the biggest games. He won national championship. He'll be fine. I don't know about his team will be fine going up against the Chiefs, but the crowd won't be too much for him.
Casey, buying or selling?
Yeah, I'm selling too. I think this is a test that Trevor Lawrence can get done. I won't be surprised if they win.
Ooh.
I believe that they'll cover. I'm like 95% sure that they'll cover this game. I think it'll be a close game, but yeah, I gotta sell that.
This is where I have conflicting takes, and I think that I am buying this. Trevor Lawrence, though I just put him at number 3 as the 3rd best quarterback in the postseason, I think that Arrowhead, I do put stock in home field advantage in the NFL. I do think that the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team still in the postseason, and the big part of that is because they got home field advantage until the Super Bowl. They've got the best coach in the postseason. They got Patrick Mahomes. I think Trevor Lawrence is still young. He's going to make a mistake or two. He's not going to be flawless, and he's just going to succumb to it. If he couldn't play well for a first half at home, I don't see him playing overly well in Kansas City. All right, buying or selling the Saturday night game that the Eagles will remind everyone why they were Super Bowl favorites. We've kind of forgotten about the Eagles because Jalen Hurts has been hurt for a month. Are you buying that the Eagles remind everyone that they are Super Bowl favorites?
I am buying that because they're playing the Giants, and I think it's a great way to get right against a team in your division. So that's what I will say.
Brandon?
I buy as well. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Buy.
So we're out on the Giants. As this is what I'm getting.
Well, I mean, Paul.
I'm not out on. I'm not out on Danny Dimes. I may be out
Giants.
on the Giants, but I'm not out on the Danny Dimes.
Casey, you buying that the Eagles will remind everyone where they are Super Bowl favorites?
He's selling it, I can tell.
I'm selling. I think they still win, but I don't think they win convincingly. I think it's. I think all the games this weekend really. I don't see any blowouts. I think I see a lot of close games. I think I see a lot of covers that people are just chalking up as blowouts. The thing about the Giants that I love is that this defense is coming together at the right time, and they're getting pressure at the right time. And with the uncertainty of Jalen Hurts and his injury, and if he will actually be 100%, I just can't see them convincing the whole world that they're the Super Bowl favorites, especially with the way the 49ers have been playing.
I think I'm buying. I think they win this one pretty handily. I think the Giants are the worst team in the postseason, still around. So give me the Eagles covering. I think they show everyone, similar to how we were just talking about how great the 49ers looked all week. I think we're going to have a similar story this week. All right, that gets us to the Bengals-Bills. The Bengals offensive line will get bullied. Buying or selling?
I'll sell it. Just because of what Casey and Monson and Rapine have talked about this morning. I'll sell it, but I'm not very confident in this sell, I'll be honest. I still have concerns. Valid concerns, but I'll sell it. Go ahead, Brandon.
I'll sell it as well. I think they're gonna they'll take some punches. I mean, they'll have to battle, but I don't think they're gonna get bullied. I see Burrow getting sacked 3, maybe 4 times, which is under that 5 number.
Well, that to me would be bullied. So I would buy 3 sacks to me is bullied. So I'll buy that if
the bully to me after what I saw last year is 7 to 9 sacks in a game.
The bullied line is officially at 3.5.
All right, so
under 3, you're not bullied. Over 3, he's bullied.
All right, well, I said 3 to 4, so I'll take the under. And now I'm forgetting when I'm selling them getting bullied.
Casey.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell 2. I think they battle it out, but I don't think that they give up more than 4 sacks. I mean,
wow, synergy here.
That would be really tough for me to see. And them win the game, and I think they're going to win the game.
How wild would it be if we're sitting here on Monday morning talking about the Bills winning 35-21 and Joe Burrow did not get sacked one time?
That's enough.
That would be wild.
That's enough, Paul.
You know where the Bengals rank this season in sacks? Just think defensively, getting to the quarterback, Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. You know where we rank in the NFL?
Where?
I guess like 8.
You're guessing 8th? The correct answer was 28th.
Okay.
30 sacks. That's under half of what the Eagles have. The Eagles have 70 sacks. The next closest team is 15 sacks away, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs at 55.
Yikes.
The Dallas Cowboys 54, Patriots 55.
I just threw out a random number.
It's all right. We're all right. We're still winners. All right. Final game, which is the Sunday night game, and besides the Bengals-Bills game is probably the most marquee game on the slate. Cowboys 49ers. Dak Prescott coming off of his best game of his career. He'll fall to the mean, and the 49ers will roll.
Bye. Staples button. Need one of those. Bye. Yes.
You're thinking Dak Prescott, who led the league in turnovers, is going to fall back to the mean.
Bye. Yes.
All right. Brandon, buying or selling that Dak Prescott's going to struggle this Sunday?
Selling it. I think it's going to be a competitive game, and I'm going to take the Cowboys to win it.
Wow. Ooh. The boys.
That's throwing in some money.
Casey?
Buying is that he will struggle, right?
Correct.
Buying is that he will struggle.
Yeah, I'm buying. I can't get over the fact that the 49ers defense is that good. So
yeah, I think if the Cowboys were playing literally any other defense, Bengals, Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, maybe not the Eagles, but pretty much any other defense, I'm going to say that Dak Prescott has another good game, but I think the 49ers defensively are too astute. I think Dak Prescott kind of the opposite of Joe Burrow when it comes down to crunch time. You don't have a whole lot of faith in him coming in and winning that game. So I think he falls back to the mean and struggles a little bit. So that's our buy sell.
All right.
We're little
buying, we're selling,
doing everything.
auctioning.
Hey, yeah. By the way, still for sale. Hasn't been sold yet since we started.
Is it actually on sale?
No, it's not on sale.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past you.
Look at that. Look at that camera. Look at here. Let's see if we can get the autograph.
On the leg? On the
Yeah,
leg?
it's on the leg.
Tommy
Looks
B
good.
special.
What's that?
What if we get Jeter to sign it too? Then you can get it maybe.
What's that channel that they sell stuff that old people always buy stuff on the phone? You know what I'm talking about? It's just a channel where they just like auction off jewelry.
QVC?
Is that what it is? QVC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should call into there and see if they could sell it. Thom Brennaman signed 2005 All-Star Baseball by Acclaim.
Antiques Roadshow.
And I'm gonna hurt my selling point here, but you guys want to see something funny?
Don't tell us there's no disc in there.
Paul, Casey, put it on this camera real quick.
What's in there?
It's not even the right game. That is a completely twisted metal, different game. So you can't even buy All-Star Baseball 2005. So the price has gone down to $995, unfortunately. Damn. You still get the autograph. You still get the case, but you don't actually get All-Star Baseball 2005. All right, guys. I thought about this all week, and I have crafted a reason why Buffalo, not the team, but the city sucks. Because this isn't just a battle of wills. This isn't just a battle between our two teams. This is a battle against cities. Cincinnati versus Buffalo. And this is a detailed reason, step by step, of why Cincinnati is better than Buffalo. And we're going to start off with the obvious, and that is Buffalo gets 90 inches of snow a year compared to Cincinnati. Paul, do you like snow?
I enjoy it, but not 90 inches of it.
So you like our snow here. Would you like to multiply that by about 6 or 7 times?
No, I'm good.
You're good. All right, so that sucks. Buffalo wings are so freaking dry, guys. They're terrible. You know what isn't terrible? Chili. Nice and saucy. It's not dry at all. I mean, we've all had bad Buffalo wings. Have you had bad Cincinnati chili?
Never. I've never had bad Cincinnati chili.
That's correct. What about the water features? What do they have over there in Buffalo? Niagara Falls? Cool. Your water falls? I prefer my water to flow like the Ohio River. Gravity? Cool. Let's keep it going downstream. Flowing is better than falling. The city of Cincinnati has lost 3 Super Bowls. Buffalo lost 4 in a row, guys.
Wait. 4 in a row?
4 in a row.
That can't be true.
Guys, you know how they make the T-shirts like Super Bowl champs before the games? You know how like right after the game it says like New England Patriots Super Bowl champs? Like, did they make them for both teams? They do. And you know what they do with those jerseys, those shirts? They ship them off to Africa, give them to people who need them. People in Africa must think the 90s Bills are awesome. I mean, they just got 4 straight seasons of Buffalo Bills Super Bowl champions. They must think they're great. We'll go with this final piece. Who is the most famous athlete from Cincinnati? Genuine question. Johnny Bench.
I was going to say King Griffey Jr.
Oscar Robinson. Anthony Munoz. King Griffey Jr. I mean, not a whole lot of controversy surrounds them, right? There's no controversy at all surrounding them at all. I don't know who the best, most famous Buffalo athlete. Oh, no. Orenthal. James Simpson. Has there been anything that he's got in trouble with? Oh, man. All right, let's go in the vault. Buffalo sucks. Paul, you got any picks for us? Put that on the screen.
Well, we have my sign that I'm taking to the game, which supports your cause.
Oh.
Yes.
I got that printed out. It's the biggest waste of like $25 at Staples ever.
Brandon, I will be sure to take a picture of that if it gets on TV. Or I'm sure anybody
100%.
listening will take it as well.
Hopefully. Add that and the mustache together.
All right, let's go in the vault.
Vault. Paul, start us off. What you got for us, big dog?
Don't steal my pick.
Okay, I'm not. Tonight, Boise State. I want to make sure the line hasn't moved. Let me check the Betfred line. I had it at +3 last night. So if you can get it at +3, take it. You know who they're playing, Reed?
Who are they playing?
New Mexico.
The Lobos.
The Low Blows.
Your guys.
Low Blows.
On Friday night. All right, go ahead, Brandon.
I am taking the powerhouse that is Villanova, +4 against St. John's. St. John's last win was against the fraudulent top 5 or top 10 UConn Huskies. Villanova needs a win to get back to 500. I think that is an easy win, +4.
So wait. You're betting on Villanova?
Yes.
We have 2 rules, Brandon.
Don't care. I was right. You said don't bet on Kentucky. I won one of my biggest bets of the. I said year. The 20 days it's been legal to bet in Ohio on Kentucky.
Yeah, and if you rob a bank, you'll leave with a bunch of money. I don't care. There's rules, Brandon.
They're winning this game. Paul agreed with me privately. Do it publicly.
You can't. Are you going to bet on Villanova?
Whether I'm going to bet on them or not, I don't know. But I did think Villanova +4 in this spot is a fair play.
Did you watch Mike Anderson's coaching clinic in the All Access No Commercials?
That's a good point. It's something I didn't consider.
He was coaching circles around Sean Miller. We don't bet on Nova. We don't bet on Kentucky, and we're close to not betting on UConn. We're close.
I think we might.
I bet against UConn.
Well, I bet on them to win the first half, and that was pretty successful. And then they blew a 14-point lead in the first half for Sir Boy. So Sir Boy's got them on. Sir Boy said we don't bet UConn. Casey, you got a parlay for us?
I do not have a parlay. Ooh. I did not work on one because I was so down bad this morning. I didn't even really look at any of the lines until you just brought up the Volt. But I really, really am liking the Hawks right now. They've been treating me well. It's a system play. My sources say that they're a good bet.
Who are your sources?
Don't air them out.
I'm going to go with the Hawks, -3.
Guys, I'm looking at these lines, and boy, oh boy, I don't like anything. Did you guys went into that fact that I was a point away from winning $1,000 parlay, right?
I feel so bad, Reed.
That was tough. What stinks more is looking back at it, we lost by 3 points, and Arizona State hits a buzzer beater from beyond half court at the end of the first half. So that ended up ruining it.
I think we knew when that went in. I think you and I both knew that we had issues. We had issues.
No doubt. If I'm going to take anything, and I'm looking at college basketball lines, man, there's just not a whole lot of good action here tonight.
Nova.
How about this? We have the whole week ahead of us. There is something that I really like, and that is tomorrow. They're both heavy favorite games. That is, the Chiefs are heavy favorites, and so are the Eagles. They're over a touchdown favorites. I like a lot both those teams to cover, but even more so, I like teasing that down. I believe you can get the Chiefs to about 2.5. I said this on Not Too Picky yesterday. You can get the Chiefs at 2.5. You can get the Eagles at -1.5. The juice on that is about -120 on those two things to happen. The Eagles to win by 2 and the Chiefs to win by 3. That'll probably be my biggest bet of the weekend for both those teams to win outright. So that's what I like this weekend. That is my In the Vault.
Nice. Let's go. All right. You know where we're going to lunch.
Where are we going?
Do we even need to spin the wheel?
Billy Yanks?
It's Friday. Oh, I didn't think about that.
Billy Yanks.
There are two things on the wheel then that we're going to have to spin for. Put them on there twice. Gina's and Billy Yanks. We go to Gina's every Friday, but I forgot Billy Yanks isn't open until Friday. Or they're only open on Friday, whatever it is.
So Gina's and Billy Yanks, only things on the list.
Only things on the list.
So Reed, there's
Put them on there twice, Casey.
There's no bet for you to win to go to Buffalo now? Are we done with those?
The only bet I have is that this 2005 All-Star Baseball case with Twisted Metal Black on the inside sells for $1,000.
All right, well, good luck.
I'll probably throw something out there.
Yeah.
We might get a little bold. By the way, Not Too Picky card. Up 18 units.
Smacking. And I didn't get it in. I was busy when you sent the Buffalo parlay, or else I was going to put a $50 Fred bet on it. I didn't get it in, and of course it hit.
Almost only counts in horseshoes. And
I know. Would have been a $600 winner.
Well, two nights ago, I think we only missed by Louisville. So out of the 3 picks that we put in there.
No, the total in there. We only went 1 for 3 that night.
Don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
It's okay. All right, so we're going to spin this 3 times.
What?
Spin it.
Why 3?
Well, we're going to have to eliminate one.
Oh.
Unless the same one gets eliminated twice.
I really want Billy Yanks, guys. Keep going.
Oh, if you want Billy Yanks, we can go there. We just had burgers yesterday, though, so we can go there.
No, we just eliminated Gina's. We'll do it. We'll listen to the wheel.
All right.
Eliminate Gina's. Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. I think we know where we're going anyway, but spin the wheel.
It's gonna land on Gina's.
No, it didn't.
Heck yes.
Billy
Good
Yanks.
win, boys. Good win, boys.
Billy
Don't
Yanks.
have to
That's a good
disrespect the
win.
wheel.
That's a good win.
All right.
Let's go
That's a
Nova.
good win.
Guys, thank you for watching. We're going to Billy Yanks. We thank you for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday to talk about the Bengals going to the AFC Championship in Kansas City. And we'll actually be looking for tickets because that will happen. We thank you for watching. This has been the Box Lunch presented by Betfred Sportsbook. Thanks, guys.